Hey everyone. Well, first off, I got to apologize to everyone for canceling the 420 special. We had some logistical, it became a logistical nightmare. We had some scheduling conflicts. There were some tech issues that showed up extremely last minute. I couldn't get it figured out. I was up late last night. I apologize. It was out of my control. But I didn't even check yet, but I have it already set up. That the show didn't happen. So if anybody did pay that $1 on Patreon, don't worry about it. You're going to get refunded immediately. I don't know if it even charged you guys yet because the show never actually happened, but nonetheless, this episode of the podcast is sponsored by Shooter Lube, America's best gun care system. Between the military-grade cleaning solvent and the extreme weapons oil, these bad motherfuckers figured out some shit that penetrates deep into the pores of the metal. I'm not going to read the whole fucking thing because these promos have been going on way too goddamn long. All you need to know is that they offer free shipping over $35, 100% money-back guarantee if you're unhappy in any way, shape, or form. And if you join the revolution and go to shooterlube.com, you can save 10% at checkout by using the promo code SINGER. I can't talk. This episode of the podcast is also sponsored by Werner Element. Oh my god. Usually I would have restarted this motherfucker, but I'm in too deep. We gotta make it through. This episode of the podcast is also sponsored by Werner Elements, your partner in growth. You need a website, social media, and a way to best represent yourself these days to break out from the crowd? We can help you do that. Whether you're just starting out a business, maybe you're an artist trying to showcase your talents, or you're a podcaster trying to get the buzz going. I think he's trying to imply that's what I'm doing. Like, am I trying to get the buzz going? I don't know. That's kind of hilarious. I never really know. I've read this many times, and I've never really noticed that before. We offer websites starting for as low as $400. That's a fully customized website, you guys. We also offer weekly, monthly, or 6-month social media management packages. Let your business work for you, motherfuckers. Don't worry, he didn't call you motherfuckers. I did. But if you mention promo code SINGER, you'll get 10% off your first contract with us. Now, there's a bonus going on here exclusively for JSE listeners as well. For the GANs, the listeners, he is purchasing where I host my website. It's called TC Bands. It's been around for a long time. Extremely cheap hosting prices, and he's buying that. But if you go there now exclusively for JSE listeners, you can still get the old pricing, and once the merger is complete, it's going to be called WeHost, and the prices will be higher. And for right now, you can go get a year's worth of unlimited everything plus your domain name for $60. And there's no discount on that. There's no Singer code for any of that shit, but that is something that's going out just for you guys. I'm trying to work in where once he does take over the merger, there'll be a special promo code for you guys to go to. You'll just go to WeHost, and then you'll still get some kind of discount for being a listener, but we're not there yet. We'll cross that bridge when we come to. Also, if you guys are feeling frisky, if you haven't already, slap that thumbs up bell, smack that subscribe button, and punch that notification bell like it owes you money. That way you know when we post new content, and it also helps the channel a ton. I know it sounds cheesy. I know you're patronized or feeling patronized, but it's true. It's true. I'm not going to lie. If you're also just listening on audio or any of the other streaming platforms, please hit follow or subscribe or whatever the fuck it is, as well as leave a 5-star review on iTunes. It apparently is like the #1 thing that's important on iTunes, I guess. I don't really understand it, but please do it. If you're feeling extra frisky, go ahead and subscribe to the Patreon, please. Patreon.com/JaredSingerLive. You can join for as low as $3 a month. All right, let's start the podcast. We are doing Group 1 tonight. My guests are John Wheeler, been on the podcast. Jeremy Blake, been on the podcast. You guys know them. They don't need an introduction. Let's fucking do it.
Your house, you're at your house, I'm at my house. We all do like fucking 10 grams.
We're live.
Of mushrooms?
Mushrooms. And somehow we all, like, we're all see each other.
Well, I want to do the
like, we just show up at the same, like, fucking field.
I do want to do
That'd
the
be
McKenna
fucking
thing.
crazy.
Like, oh,
and
shit.
do
That'd be cool, though.
a heroic dose of mushrooms and then rip the full 3 hits of DMT in the middle of it. Because that's when he said that, you know, he met the self-dribbling, bejeweled basketballs that were, like, 4-dimensional and stuff. And, like, you're just already just out of your mind on mushrooms, and then you hit the DMT pen really hard, and you're like,
Holy shit, there's already 7 people hanging out. What's up, guys?
hello.
Holy shit.
Maybe it's just that time. Is it Saturday?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, there we go.
Or is it Friday? What day is it?
I think we're just that likable.
That's not fucking true.
No, no, no.
I don't know, man. I made a lot of new friends
Jeremy
in Texas.
Jeremy's.
I was on the phone with Schwa, or actually,
Yeah.
Schwa was on the phone with his wife, and she's like, "Man, I bet he makes friends everywhere he goes." And it was hilarious because I had just come back. I was like, "I just made 2 new friends."
Yeah, you're like the
I'm likable.
You're
So
like
if
the
you
one
guys aren't,
cool
then
guy.
Fuck you, man.
No, you're like the one cool guy when you're in jail.
I
You're
used
like,
to be a
kinda
total
like
piece
this
of
dude.
shit, though. I used to be a total piece of shit, though.
Now you're just like a half piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Then what happened yesterday?
What did happen yesterday?
I don't know. Is it Friday or Saturday?
It's Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Yesterday was Friday.
Okay.
And no,
Yeah,
guys,
I-
this is not the 420 special.
No,
No.
No.
because it's the 17th.
Yeah, that was going to be pre-recorded earlier today, and there was some logistical issues, so that's why that didn't happen. I apologize. If you paid the $1, you will be refunded immediately. I haven't even looked if anybody bought tickets to that shit show. Anyways, it was $1 though. I figured, fuck it,
Yeah,
because there's no other way for me to pre-record it and allow certain people to still be able to watch it live without throwing it in Patreon and then having to put some sort of pay structure on it. And you can't go less than $1. It's the
Yes.
only reason we did that, because I was going to have it air for free on 420, but I'm not doing it on 420 because it's my wedding anniversary.
right.
3
You got
years,
married on
bitches?
420?
Yep.
That's
My wife let me pick the
Jared of
date.
you.
My wife let me pick the date so I wouldn't forget, and I picked it because it's also my grandmother's birthday,
That's
not
the-
because it's fucking 420.
Do you like
man.
smoke a little bit of your grandmother's, or is she still alive?
She's still alive, you fuck.
You smoke her pole.
I smoke her pubes.
There you go.
When she passes, you should smoke a little bit.
No, is what I'll do
Yeah,
is every
do that.
420 I'll smoke one for her, and I'll do one ash into the urn.
I think it would be a lot cooler if you smoked
Yeah,
a little bit
really
of her
thick.
ashes
I think
every
it'd be a
time.
lot cooler if you
Yeah.
did, man.
Really stretch grandma's ashes out a little.
Whoa! I like where you were going for a second there.
I know. Yep. It's a real
Ladies-
Mr. Toad's wild ride.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know who these 2 notorious gentlemen are, we're not going through intros and backstories. They've both been on the podcast a couple times now, so suck it.
Yeah.
It's
You can
Jeremy
go- you can-
Blake, John Wheeler. You guys can go back and watch the other episodes if you want to find out more about who they are. We're not doing the normal question and answer tonight. This is almost like a special, but it's just the 3 of us, because this is.
Yeah.
We got to come up with a name for this, and
We
it
are
can't just
special.
be the shit show.
Well, it's
No,
3
I-
J's.
Oh,
Sure we could do
no,
something with
the old
that.
You know how
triple-
like Rogan does the shrimp parade when it's Duncan Trussell and that other
It's
dude?
the triple penetration.
What? No, I don't know. It's funny too because that was like I've watched every Duncan Trussell episode of Rogan except for the ones where there's like some third guy on there, and I'm like, I don't want to hear anybody.
There's
else
only
talk.
one other dude that it's really good with,
Yeah.
and it's so cool every time those 3 are on together. They've only done like I think 3 total,
Can you-
and they call it the shrimp parade.
Can you answer?
Interesting.
Why do they always wear weird shit when Duncan Trussell's on?
because they're high.
Is that why? Like,
Yeah,
because he was in
just-
like a ghillie suit one time, and like,
Yeah, Joe's always in the NASA thing when
Yeah.
it's him
It
or Red
started
Bandage. I
out-
don't know why that. Yeah.
It started out as a Halloween thing, and then they did it on like some weird one because it was like some conspiracy shit they were joking about. And so
Yeah.
they wore like spacesuits to make fun of the moon landing conspiracy, and like
right.
that's why those 2 are always. And now it's just anytime Duncan Trussell comes
Yeah.
out, they put on costumes.
I love those episodes, but the whole time I've Googled it. I'm like, I like Google it. I'm like, why are they wearing? You know, and there's like nothing.
Yeah,
Nobody.
you-
and like,
The only way you can figure it out is you just got to go back and watch all of them from the beginning in order to get
what if
there.
they all like intertwine and shit? Like
they're
it's
all
like
connected,
this. It's
man.
this like really like insanely like.
Oh, if there was an intent behind it. Well, a friend
Yeah.
of mine once was on acid and watching something on Netflix and came up with that like all Netflix shows are actually like secretly a part of the same universe or something like that.
It's not very special.
Yeah, that's true. We could call it the helmet special, just so everybody knows the kind of special we mean.
Can I put my gum in here?
Yeah, go ahead. This is kind of a special though, because you wanted to do one with Jeremy and me.
That was a
Yeah.
whole different thing, though. That was just cameras, not. It was a
Yeah.
whole different.
That was
And it
pornography.
involved
It was how many J's can we fit into?
into bees.
How many J's into B's? A little J and B.
You can fit a lot of J's into my B.
Jared, were you in Dying Euphoria?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was their
was-
second best singer. I was the second best singer in Dying Euphoria.
Neck behind Danny Z or
No,
Joe Knox.
Joe Knox. Yeah,
Don't put Danny Z and I in the same box.
I would say.
Funny
I
thing
was
to say.
offended you let him in the band to fill my spot. That was the only sore spot for that
yeah,
whole
he was
thing.
after you. Yeah.
Yeah, because he idolized me and like I taught that kid so much shit, and then he literally took my job. Like he never did the classic respect thing. Like, hey man, would it be cool if I auditioned and like blah 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 blah? He just took as soon as I wasn't in the picture. It was like he was trying to be me. That's what it felt like.
He was the same way. Like he'd fuck your
Andy
ex-girlfriend
sucked.
too. No.
Andy sucked. So I was just so mad that you guys took that step down. But then when you found Joe, I was like, now they got it figured out because Joe was the man. That was their last singer.
Dude, the thing with Joe, like it was crazy, because after touring and stuff, then he and I lived together. Like it was Joe, Bernie, and I all lived together in Northeast. And Joe, like, dude, that guy, he never did vocal warm. He never did anything, dude. He would just like, he could just sing. Like it just happened.
Yeah.
No auto tune, no pitch correction in the studio. Just he'd like smoke a pack of cigarettes, drink a beer, and then go knock out the vocals. It's like I mean, I loved it, but I was at the same time, I was like, man, you fucking
Dude, I should have thought this through just a little bit more because I was at a fucking Cigars International bar in Texas. I wanted to tell you guys about this. We got plenty of time. There's plenty of shit to get into. Fucking Texas is an awesome place. So Cigars International, the magazine, which is where I order my cigars
what
from.
city were you in? Because different cities in
Dallas.
Texas are like being in different states.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
Because like San Antonio is like
100%.
nothing like Houston at all.
100%.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And I was in North Dallas,
Okay.
hanging out just outside of downtown, and then all the way up to like almost an hour north of downtown.
Yeah.
Okay.
North Dallas. So I was in Frisco, Plano, the Colony, Little Elm, McKinney. I was all around that entire area.
That's a lot of dudes.
Yeah,
that you
I
were
know.
in. You were in
I
a
know.
lot of dudes.
It's crazy.
Did you
the
go
best
to
way to explain it.
Deep Ellum? They're kind of weird.
No,
like,
but everyone
hip-hop
kept
town.
telling me I had to go there.
I've played gigs there, and it's actually kind of one of those places where you're like, okay, there's like 40 of our fans, but then there's like 40 more people that are just kind of cool.
Dude,
Like it
it's
actually
the
was
only-
kind of fun. Like
that and downtown Dallas are the only two things I didn't get done.
mm.
It was just fuck it, just everything kept getting pushed back. So I just ran out of time.
Mhm.
And I started accomplishing everything. And I was like, man, at this point I got everything I want accomplished. I'm here for one more night. You know, it's like literally mid-Sunday. And I'm like, fuck that. I'm going back to the hotel. I'm getting drunk at that bar, that one bar, the Cigars International bar.
Mm.
And it's fucking badass. So where I buy my cigars from online, they have an actual bar
Brick and mortar
in
bar.
Dallas.
That's
Like
cool.
it's in the it's in the
Mhm.
colony, but it's fucking sweet, dude. Like I walk in, there's no mask laws. You fucking grab a fucking fat stogie, whatever you want. You got $2, you got $20, you got $150,
Right.
whatever. And then you walk straight up to a bar, you fucking order your drink, and you can sit there outside in fucking beautiful weather, or you can fucking watch like sports or whatever.
Mhm.
It's like, and dude, there was so many women there. Like it wasn't just a place where you'd see just a bunch of burly dudes. There was men and women there of all walks of life. It's like a weird spot that people from Texas go to. So there's people there for the weekend from Houston, from San Antonio, from Austin. So I didn't just meet people from that area. It was wild. And the only way I can explain the area, the greater area that I was in, is it's like if you started almost like in an uptownish, that St. Louis Park
Mhm.
uptown style.
Yeah.
And then they have like a rich, super rich, fancy version of uptown called the Legacy West. And then all the way out to like St. Louis Park into Lake Minnetonka where those rich people hang out. Like I was in a very rich part of Texas. Like it was a lot of money floating around there, dude. I got anxiety when I went to that Legacy West because I was in a nice rental car, like a brand new 2021 rental car, but it's still just like a basic car, dude.
What was it, by the way?
Nissan something, I can't remember.
Oh,
but
so like just a new normal person
yeah,
car.
but it was a really nice car.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
for me, I'd be like, check out my ballin' ass new car.
all
I get in
new
that
cars.
area and it's Lambos, Teslas. They're like
Yeah.
$1 million cars, and fucking dudes are like doing 5 miles an hour in neutral, going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, dude, I almost got an anxiety attack because it was like, I hate this spot. I want to get out of here so fucking
Yeah.
fast. There were so many rich people.
I want to go
Just-
back to being impressed by, because like Alexis just bought a 2021 Subaru, and I'm like, this car is so nice, and I've never even really been inside a Subaru. I don't think of that as like, but like everything just drives itself and has computer screens all over it and shit now. So like when you get around people that have like fucking NASA cars, you know, you're like, oh shit. Like, oh yeah, this one will go back in time a little if you hit this button. Yeah, you'll get there sooner. Yeah, it's great. It only cost $400,000 to add that on. Like,
Now, you in Dying Euphoria, after I left the band, you guys went down and played a bunch of shows in Texas, or at least one. Where did you go in Texas? Where were you guys?
Well, I mean, we played Texas before you were in the when Tad was in the band, and then
again after.
and then when
afterwards.
we were on tour, Texas was one of the states. It was Dallas, Austin, Houston, San Antonio, I think.
Now, did any of
San
these?
Antonio's awesome.
Now, you,
Yeah,
and
I love-
and that's what I'm getting at. You were in San Antonio. I got another buddy that lived in San Antonio. Is there any part of Texas that you were like, this place sucks,
Most of
or
it
is it all awesome?
in between the cities.
I wasn't a
Everywhere.
huge fan of Houston, but honestly, it had nothing to do with anything other than the fact that we were loading out at 2 a.m. in February in Houston, and it was still like 100 degrees.
And humid, right?
Yeah, and humid as
Houston
fuck.
is wet.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I heard. The worst thing about
I was
Texas
like,
is
this is-
Houston because of the weather. That's
yeah,
what I heard.
It was
Let's buy that the all of the oil shipping in the bay there, or whatever the fuck that is. Like the water
with this light?
is black. It's giving us a seizure. Like it's like there's beaches that you like. Yeah, you can't swim in there though.
no.
Like it's just like horribly polluted, and I feel like you can feel its pollution humidity, like it's oil water spill humidity. Like
Yeah.
just, like you're dirty afterwards.
It's like being in
Like, it's
Iraq
really-
in the first Gulf War.
Gulf of Mexico war.
It's just breathing in just thick. Yeah, that I just remember being like, why does anybody live here? It's fucking February, it's 2 a.m. and I'm fucking dying, sweating balls,
Yeah.
loading, I was just like, yeah.
You you got sick recently, but not COVID sick.
No. I had I got sunstroke. Me and the sun, we don't do real well together. It
In
was
here?
Easter. I was sitting outside.
In this room.
Yep, right here in Jared's. We built a small sun.
Oh, a sunstroke. Okay.
Yeah, my son was stroking me. I mean, he doesn't know he's my son, but yeah, no, I was just
They're only
outside
3 years apart.
a little. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oddly enough, he's the young one.
I think I missed something here.
No, you didn't. It doesn't make any
Oh,
sense.
okay.
That's why he's laughing so hard, because
All right,
none
all
of this is. It's the dumbest shit ever. I've already descended into 4th grade humor.
Which explains why I'm laughing.
Yeah. Do you know where you are? Jesus. Yeah, you boys have a longer history than I know you both.
You two have a bit of a
Well,
history.
we kind of do, but when we talk about the music scene, I'm always a little bit just like.
But you
I
also
was-
were in
I
the
was
same
gone.
band, not at the same time.
I was gone during that.
Oh, yeah, we were in
you
the
were.
same
You were
band.
in Blue Felix a
Yeah.
little bit before I was.
Right before you, yeah.
It's almost like being in the Sound When You're Credible. Almost every single one of us at some point in time has done some work with Prince before he passed. It's like,
Yeah.
it's so ancestral in this town. If you're decent at your job, you've either been in a band with that person, you've been in a band that person was in,
Yeah.
or you probably played shows with each other, unless you're part of the old guard and these new kids that have come up that are younger than 30. It's not time-wise possible. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like,
We're all the old dude, like when
Yeah.
we were coming up and the old dudes would talk about like playing at Ryan's Corner.
Right. Yeah.
And we were like, oh man, you're
Yeah.
old. Well, that's us now.
yeah, I call you guys the old guard because a lot of you guys are also stuck in your ways. Like, you're adapting pretty well. You seem to understand it. But a lot of guys just lament about how it used to be better. It used to be, and like,
No, I hated it,
dude, I'm talking about like crowds and shit,
No,
and like
but,
fan.
but
and
I
here's
don't
the
even
thing,
have an
there's young
opinion about
bands
the
drawing.
scene here. I was gone.
There's
for most
young
of it.
bands drawing. It's just us that didn't figure out how to do it.
Well, for me, I
Yeah.
haven't like actively played shows since fucking 2011. So it's like,
I just got tired of it because I realized I've had a few weird peaks of success, like on multiple different occasions, and like I started going, I don't even want to do that again.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to be even in a bunk on a nice bus and there's always going to be 400 people there. It's like I'm at the point where I'm not getting flown around, like I'm not getting catered. I'm uncomfortable. I'm sick all the time. I fucking hate this. It's like I don't even want to do good. I want to do not this.
Yeah.
I don't like even the better. Like, let alone people that just travel the country playing to sound
this
guys.
This is why I tell people the number one key is to just not quit, because it's a battle of attrition now. Yeah, it's
I just
oversaturated. Yeah,
can't
there's a million
stand it.
bands, but you have direct access to fans, and as long as you just don't quit, everyone else is eventually going to, because it's hard. It's not easy. So just find your fans and keep going.
I
like being funny better now, though. I don't.
Same thing though. YouTubers do it too. There's YouTube burnout. A lot of guys quit
Oh,
before
yeah.
they even get to 1,000 subs and monetize, because they're not making it. Just like bands, they're not making enough money yet, and the fucking workload, the editing that you put in, is similar to the booking that I do. The energy put into it, and
I get to
guys
stay
will just
home,
simply
though.
burn out. Oh, I can't find enough guests. Oh, I'm tired of doing it. Oh, I'm not excited. Are you excited to go work in an office?
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
But we do that every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
try
know?
not to think about this because I'm like, oh, the smartest thing to do would be to kill myself. I'm like, actually, I don't enjoy anything now that so I just don't think about
Yeah,
it. I'm
that's,
like,
that's a you problem. I figured that out a long time ago.
Yeah.
If I'm unhappy on the road, if I'm not happy playing in front of 1,000 people or 500 people, then I'm definitely not going to be happy at a collection agency or selling windows or doing fucking contracting work or at a press break. And ironically, I became happy in one of those weird jobs, and that's when I was like, oh, so now I could probably go back on the road and be fine, because I figured me out instead of trying to seek happiness through a job
it depends,
or an
like-
occupation
like,
or a career.
Kyle and I were talking last night, Skullquist, for
Oh, no
like-
shit?
Yeah, for like probably about 4
All
hours.
KS?
Yeah, we talk pretty much every day, but we were talking about, he was talking about all his European tour stuff. We were just talking about tour shit, and we were both talking about like the when the bubble got burst. Like I don't know if you went through this
I did.
with your stuff, where it's like you find
50
out
with
that it's like it's just a facade. Perception is reality thing. Like you get out there and you're bumping elbows with these bands that you thought were like successful.
right.
And you're like,
oh,
And you're like, this band is like 10 levels above where I'm at, and
they're fucked.
and they're still sleeping on their mom's couch.
Yeah.
And they're still whatever, you're just like,
They're paying me to write their records. That is the end of my story. Goes, I like making music. I don't like sleeping on people's cat pee floors.
yeah.
So like I just stay home and I work production
Now,
stuff.
now
and-
here's the crazy thing. What if I told you, and this isn't completely hypothetical, I'm just not going to go down and list people that are doing this, but now what if I told you, if you had an entire library of music, right? You could take that music and through streaming and through YouTube and through like getting it to the right people, like doing live gaming streams and shit like that, licensing like what Chad Hinge and guys like that are doing, shit like what he's doing where he's writing other people's, where you're making fat cash to where it doesn't fucking matter that your music isn't profitable enough. That's the problem, is those other guys, because I know one of the bands you're talking about is Diecast, because I was standing with you when you talked to that guy and you were like, so what do you do when you're not on tour? And he's like, I sleep on my mom's couch and I work at Best Buy.
You know what?
And
though?
I watched the dream in your eyes die that night.
but it came back right away.
No, I know,
You know what I mean?
but that was the first chink in your armor. For as long as I had known you, you were like me, and there was no doubt, doubt in this man's eyes. And that was the first night you went, wait, what?
Yeah.
Because they were Diecast. They had a fucking hit song on the radio. People were talking about them. They had a buzz. Ironically, we outdrew them, but that's again why that's all they had though. See, guys like John, where he started writing music for other people. Even people like Beyonce and Jay-Z, all the way up to the top of the chain, they start clothing lines. They fucking start, colognes and perfumes.
You got to diversify your bonds.
For real though, because then the pressure for them to do the passion and make enough money to live comfortably isn't solely dependent on that one project, especially when you and I, not you so much because you kind of were the brain, but you and I built our musical identities on a band's name. So when that band broke up, our careers came screeching to a halt.
You even saying that out loud gives me anxiety. Like just thinking that, like, if you know what I mean, like just like if I started something like, oh, if this one thing ever capsizes, I'm fucked. It was like making me nervous hearing that out loud.
Yeah.
That's how.
You see what I'm saying?
I
though?
was like, oh Jesus! I at least got a book deal out of it.
Now these kids are so fucking smart that let's say, the Remotes. Let's say there's a band out there.
It's the Ramones.
I know, but let's say there's a band out there like Greta Van Fleet, right? But they're the Remotes.
Oh, yeah, I've actually heard of
right?
that.
They're the Remotes, though. Their band is huge.
Yeah.
If that band breaks up, each one of those kids probably already has 1 million followers on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
They're already monetized. That band breaks up, they can still get sponsorships. Hey, I'll tell you what, I'll put you out a fucking Instagram post to my 1 million followers.
Yep.
$5,000. You line up a couple of those a week, you're still making this is real. This is how that world works.
Yeah, diversification has become
dusted,
a much
dude.
more standard thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's like not even like a thing you think about.
And
like
then
it's
the
almost
really
organic.
smart ones, like they're on Instagram and they're doing playthroughs. They're doing solo albums where
See,
it's
and
just them doing guitar shit and like.
I think my problem is like,
And I'm not saying we need to be doing this.
no, my thing is like,
I'm not
first
trying
and
to pressure
foremost-
anybody.
No, like my
do that
love
anyway.
my love for music and shit is it's essentially this. I like to write songs and then get on stage and play those songs. I don't give a fuck about the rest of it. I don't care if my song
do you
isn't
put
a
videos and shit on Instagram?
sometimes yeah. But I'm saying like
So you do this already.
yeah, well, but that
You're
like,
doing exactly what I'm
but,
talking
okay,
about.
but hold on a second though, because like
and
the
I'm not
stuff-
talking shit. This is a positive thing.
So like the things that I've been doing lately,
I got you
it's
in a
weird.
got you moment, but in a positive way.
No. I'm glad you said that because
Instead
like
of talking shit, though,
it's
it's like
funny
really
because,
nice
like,
what I'm saying.
so like the
Destructive shit. Talk.
where I've ended up now is like it's similar to when I first got into like writing songs and shit when I was like a teenager. It's back to where like all the stuff that I'm writing and like posting now, I'm just doing that for me.
Sure.
Like I don't care. I could post it and there could be 100 people or 1,000 people that like it, or there could be 2, and I kind of don't really care either way because it's really more like personal. You know, it's
Okay.
just me like. I'm using it as like a healing thing. So that's kind of
But
like
why do you put
separate.
it in public then? That's what I'm curious about.
It's mainly because like I think because the stuff that I am like doing right now is so personal. Well, this is gonna sound weird, but it's like it's so personal. But then when I do share it, I get messages from people that are like, "Man, like that song you just did really resonated with me or whatever." And so like that means something to me. But I'm just saying like there's not a measure of success anymore.
No,
But
it's just part of it. Part of making music is sharing it. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a natural piece of the life cycle. It doesn't really. It's not a cry for like, hey, you need to pay attention. It's more like, no, you make something, you finish it, you put it out.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You make a new thing like that.
Yeah.
It's just part of the tadpole
That's-
becomes a toad. I lick the toad. I run around naked. That's just part of the whole thing.
which is literally what I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like
I'll
there's
lick
a lot,
that toad.
and you know, truth be told, like there's a
Anybody
lot.
got a toad I can lick?
There's a lot of stuff I've been.
There's a
I got a
great
guy.
line.
Yeah.
Anybody got a toad I can lick?
There's a lot of-
somebody clip that and send it to me. That needs to go in the new intro we're
I
building.
got a chode you can lick.
There's a lot of stuff I've been writing and recording that I haven't been posting. I just send it to like my super close friends. You know, I'm just like, hey, you know, like especially like Kyle. Like I'm not gonna. It's not my business to put up, but Kyle's going through a lot of stuff right now. So if I like write something for what I'm going through, I'll share it with him because I know he'll relate. You know what I mean? But I don't put it on Facebook or something because it's just whatever. But ultimately, back to what I was saying before is like for me, it's like, I mean, you know, from being in a band together, like getting on stage, that's what drives me. Like I could be in a band and I could honestly be happy in a band never releasing an album as long
What
as I
is
can
it-
just get on stage.
So for me, there is a huge resonance there. It's about getting on stage and performing. Now I can actually still, though, it's not just the performing in front of people. For me, the euphoria comes in way before that. It comes in when I take a riff or an idea or a song that I wrote and I hear the whole thing in my head. Now, granted, once we're finished, it's rarely ever what I heard in my head. Rarely, if ever. But the euphoria kicks in when the full band shows up and we're there in the rehearsal space and it sounds great. It's a real living, breathing piece of art now. So by the time we get to the studio, and even when we get to those podunk towns where no one showed up and you're literally just playing for the bartender, There's something about playing my art at a high volume with other musicians. That's the high I get.
Mhm.
Performing in front of people, and you can attest to this, so I don't sound like I'm tooting my own horn. That's probably the number one valid compliment I get about me as a performer is people will always say, that motherfucker will give you a show whether there's 2 people or 2,000 people. It's literally going to be the same show. He will forget there's no one there.
Well,
I will forget the room is sold out as well.
That's what we had in DE.
But that came from
Relevance,
from the loud music because you can't get away from it, right? Like when you're jamming in your room, when you're listening to loud music, what can you do? You can turn it down, you can pull your headphones off, you can do a lot of things to get out of that. When you're performing or even in a rehearsal space, that music is so loud, that bass is so thick, those kick drums are thumping so hard, you feel it in your bones, in your DNA. You can't get out of it. It takes over, and if you really lose yourself in the music, especially as a performer, you forget whether there's 2 or 2,000 people there. That's what got for me. And so that would happen to me in rehearsal. When we were jamming, pretending we were playing a show, just getting ready for one.
Yeah.
I'd forget there was no one in the room. Jared, who are you performing to right now? I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I forgot we were just rehearsing right now.
Well, it's because the music, we had it in.
Is that what it is for you live as well, or is it the fact that you're sharing your music with others?
It's a combo. I mean, it's it's a combo, I guess. But definitely there's just something about just getting on stage and just playing. I mean, the 3 of us can all attest to that. It's just there's just something about being on stage and playing live, and it's just it's like.
Did you before you got jaded? Did you also enjoy it so much at one point where even to an empty crowd you were still in on it?
Yeah, there was a time. There was a time where I was like, I think I joked with someone like in the late 90s when I was starting. It's like I would pay. It's a funny joke now. It's like I would pay someone else to just be able to get on stage. Hey, now that's the whole music industry model.
Right.
But I shouldn't have said that out loud.
Yeah.
But there was a time like that, and I wouldn't really. I mean, I'm kind of jaded, but I wouldn't really say that it's being jaded. It's more that like I realized what I like about everything more, and I like being on stage, but I could take it or leave it now. I like making stuff. That's why I'm like, I don't even like when I'm writing and producing stuff for other people. Like, I'm not like, well, okay, cool, I'm paying some bills, but I can't wait to make my music. No, this is my music now.
Yeah.
I mean, someone else's. Well, on the BMI page, it tells a different story. But as far as anyone knows, it's them, whoever they might be in this story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't really care. That's all the stuff that I did. It was fun, and a lot of the times, like, someone will come by and I'll go see, and I'll be like, hey, I like what you did with that. This is good. And every once in a while I get pissed off because I'm like, yeah, you guys aren't really doing this the way it sounded on the thing. Like, it kind of bugs me. And because I got so spoiled with like the guys that were in my Zero and the guys at the time when I was in Blue Felix, where if I wrote something front to back, they knew what they were doing. I'd be like, hey, this is pretty ripping. All right, good. This is cool. But it's kind of up and down, but it doesn't bother me either way. I'm just like, I really like sitting here being like, okay, like how this change is boring. Like how can I make this more interesting? Is it too frantic? Are people going to be able to follow it? Because I'm doing this for someone else and they're paying me, so I can't just go, fuck them.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a bunch of monkey boner nonsense with time signatures that don't match up. I'd be like, all right. So it's a bit of a challenge. It's the one way I can still get into a flow state, aside from, I suppose, filmmaking stuff, but like where I'm like really just like, I'll lose 9 hours. Just being like,
Now you mentioned,
and I'll be like, oh shit, I'm done.
Now you mentioned when you did so I want to take a tag there between those two things. There was a time. Whoa, Jeremy!
You saved it.
You got to be careful, man. You're the only person who's ever done that. Now
You're a large man, Jeremy. You need to
just take it down and give it to me.
just give it to me. Just give it to me.
Fuck you, John. Just take it down. Just take it down. Give it to me.
All right, this is why we can't have nice things, Jeremy Blake.
I did not sound that bitchy. Fuck you. I did not sound that bitchy.
Where's your hall pass, Blake? I know.
Two beers and he's breaking shit. Ripping my wife's leather jacket.
They were talls, man.
I'm making all this up. None of this is actually true. What was I going to say?
Talls.
There's two tags though. There's two things I want to touch on there. So there was a time where the size of the crowd didn't matter, and you were still amped up to play in front of and share that music with people. And now, even though you're jaded with the music shit, and I apologize if that's not the most accurate way to say it, but it's a simple one word. So that's what I'm running with, even if it's not dictionary accurate.
My pronoun is bitter, Jared.
Okay.
Bitter.
which is, I think, a direct synonym for jaded.
I know. No, but it's very
And
important.
it's not your pronoun; it's your adjective.
If you, no, yeah, I
I
have no.
identify with the adjective.
Please do not refer to me. I have no. I have no.
What is your identifiable
No,
adjective?
you can just-
Yours is bitter. Mine is.
Crusty old son of a bitch. That's me.
What is mine? Because it's like the phrase is, I got a chip on my shoulder. I got something to prove.
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is for that.
Oh man, this is where if I was making, I would look up thesaurus.com. And
Okay.
be like, hey,
We're not doing that. Anyways, so,
Yeah, I know.
So, but here's the point. You said you like being funny better, and then we're starting a YouTube channel. We're doing these comedy bits. We're doing a podcast. We're doing now something very different from what you originally started off. There's still something in you where you like to share your art with others, and I'm curious as to where the similarity is and where the bridge is crossed from admitting that it's not just enough for just us to listen to, and we want to share it with other people for all the idealistic reasons. And I'm curious where that bridge is crossed when we admit to ourselves it's because we're fucking needy and we need validation because we didn't get it from somewhere else. I'm willing to admit that right away. Like, I wanted the respect. I didn't get the respect from the people I wanted to early in life. So I've sought out for some reason to try to gain the respect from other musicians.
You know, that's actually a really good point because, I can answer that question because I wanted power.
That's why it's a good point. It's because you can actually answer it.
Yeah. Because
but you wanted power.
I wanted because I know this. I wanted.
Don't vote for John Wheeler.
Yeah, I'm a
for any position of authority.
It's gonna get a little eugenicsy kind of fast. But no, it was that I felt like, it was like, getting in a band, like that'll get me laid as an example, or anything. It'll open doors and let me do whatever I want. I've just become a person that can do whatever I want anyway now. Mm-hmm. And that is why you could probably draw a graph where I kind of stopped caring about being like a rock and roll man as much. Because I was just like, no, I could tell a joke. I can make a short film. I could play a song. I could make a remix for somebody. And everyone will be like, that's so cool. I could walk into a room and just be like, oh, how's everybody doing? I can just do that the way I couldn't do at 17 when I decided I wanted to be like, hey, I want to grow up. I want to be a big rock and roll star so no one could fuck with me. Like, that was my whole thing.
And here's how you accomplish that.
And now I'm like, I'm fine either way. So who cares about all this gas money and blown transmissions and lonely nights on the road? I'm just going to do whatever I want.
That though, because somewhere through all of this journey, you became financially free because you aren't tied to a day job or a band or anything to continue an actual income stream. You have passive income. Some guys get into real estate and get rental income. Some guys get into credit card processing so they can get residuals on that shit.
Yep.
People are constantly after something to where they can monetize it and just float freely. And that's what a lot of rich people say. Like,
the only way out is
outside of love, outside of like true, like actual love and like great family and friends, like if there's any key to happiness involved with money, it's once your passive income,
it's not having to worry about it.
Once your passive income supersedes your monthly expenditures.
Yeah.
So now anything you do is pure profit.
Yep.
That's when you can get adventurous and have fun and like start like inventing shit and doing wild things with your lives. And like, I think more of us can and should be doing that. Just monetize your personality. That's what you and I have been talking about on the phone heavily. There are so many ways for us to monetize our personalities. Like, just be a little bit creative and figure out your niche. Like, even if you're an accountant, you could do a live Twitch stream where you're fucking breaking down numbers and showing tricks and giving people live tax advice. As a CPA, you can do that legally. There's nothing stopping you.
Well, there's a lot to be said.
And you can make more money on Twitch doing that than you actually do at being an accountant doing that.
Just because no one's thought of it doesn't mean it's a bad idea. A friend of mine who's doing far better than I am told me that when we were younger. He's like, don't think that this is a dumb idea just because no one's done it, because you don't have any idea how dumb the competition actually is. Don't underestimate people, but remember, if you have an idea, like, someone's probably done that, like, are you sure? Because
My
they might
biggest-
not have. Like, you have no idea.
My biggest thing is I'm really trying to stress. I think people are underestimating the quit in everyone else. And
Oh,
so
people
everyone's
give-
like, "Oh, that's already been done." Oh, like, it's
We're
like
designed to
even
quit.
the people doing it right now are going to quit doing it. You
Oh,
just
yeah.
have to find it and just give it your all. And not even give it your all. Just put some fucking effort into it. I showed you that thing before we started the podcast. I showed you that thing from that guy. And I was like, really, dude? Like, don't complain.
Oh,
Don't
yeah,
complain
yeah.
about Elatica's success if this is the effort you're putting in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I had
We've
mentioned
had
that too.
conversations about that too.
Well,
I've
the-
shared content with both you guys. I'm not trying to put anybody else on
Yeah,
blast.
no,
so
no,
y'all
the-
aren't gonna know who I'm talking. Don't even try to internet.
I don't
sleuth
know
this
who the
shit.
fuck we're talking about, but
I've shared shit directly with you. Like,
oh, yeah,
this
yeah.
is terrible. How
Uh-huh.
many people approved this along the line?
Well, one of the
that kind of
one
shit,
of the
like,
reasons that
somebody should have said no.
upping the production value on my main series so much that it's starting to become more and more science fiction-y and lasers and using all my After Effects stuff is because I have a little gamble with myself. Like, I don't want to bitch about why it's not bigger until there's like 50 people in the comments going, why isn't this more popular? When they say it, then I can complain. And I have no right to complain. I've had like 1 or 2 people be like, I feel like more people should see this. And I'm like, well, there needs to be 100 of you before I can
Yeah,
start getting
yeah.
salty. And I'm going to ratchet it up until
That's
happens.
brilliant. I didn't even think about. I have the same thought process right now,
Yeah.
but I'm going the other direction. I'm going, okay, I'm plateauing, which means I'm reaching a threshold where I'm having a harder and harder time getting people that want to sub and watch just because they're interested in the content. And in order for me to get that next group of people, I got to be able to get them with enough audio and visual quality to keep them
Yeah.
and build a relationship with new people, like new fans. Like, for example, it really doesn't matter how great you can shred and how great your band is if your demo sounds like shit.
Yep.
We all eventually learned that.
Mhm.
We all eventually learned that very hard lesson.
Yeah.
That's true in this medium as well, on your shit and on my shit. And at some point in time, people are going to be like, you max out on the amount of people that are willing to give you the time to improve.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're like, come
Yeah.
talk to me when you're good again. So when my YouTube videos are popping up to random viewers across the country, there's a very small amount of people that are
The only
willing.
thing better than quitting is never trying. That's funny because I know that's Bill from my podcast.
Shout out to Bill.
Hey.
Shout out to Bill. From
Not from the name, but I just could tell by what was written. No, but I also recognize the name.
shout out to Bill from the Alchemical Cocktail Lounge Rum Dumpster podcast.
Yep.
Featured channel at the bottom, by the way. If any of you guys are new, go to the bottom of my channel. Just go to the main page, go all the way to the bottom. Featured channels, the Alchemical Cocktail Lounge. That's John Wheeler. That's this man's channel.
Hey.
He's too far away for me to touch him.
Hello. No, you can just pantomime like
My
they'll-
arms
they'll-
are
they'll
that
think
long,
that I'm touching
but
you
he's
and-
just that far.
It's a stage kiss. Yeah, people
Man,
need to
if you-
understand
if you
how
whipped
big
your
this
dick
table
out-
is.
Going this way, it'd look huge, bro.
Yeah,
Dude, I have the craziest wingspan. It's like 78 inches.
your
Really?
dick.
Yeah.
That's
Are you
big.
being serious?
Yeah.
But
Dude, I'm
go
6
sub-
feet tall.
Go
and
sub
these
to
is-
his channel. Have you
yeah.
guys hit 200 yet?
No.
We're getting
We
close.
got
though,
a few
right?
more though, because I'm working on a fucking big one. So we've been just riding on the podcast for a few
Have
weeks because
you-
like fucking the thing I'm doing now is like actors in it and stuff. Like it's taking a little.
Let me
time.
ask you a silly question.
Yeah.
Have you found the deep dive stat where you can see how many subs you've lost?
We talked about that. I've lost like a depressingly small amount. I was really thinking that like
you
it's
might
like
have lost more. Okay.
4.
Because I noticed there was a while where I thought I just wasn't getting subs.
No,
but
they
I
were
was
coming in and
literally
going out.
losing them as fast as I could get them. Because all of a sudden I watched this number go up by like 50 on each side. Like I gained 50 and lost
Yeah.
50. And yeah, that shit cracked me the
No,
fuck up.
I was like getting excited. Remember, I was like, "Ooh, really? Do you think I've like gained and lost a bunch of people?" But it's like I've lost like 4 altogether, and I'm
Yeah.
like, those were probably Russian spyware accounts.
So you
that
haven't
just got
so
shut
that
down.
is what that tells me is you haven't gained enough people, new people that
Yeah.
you've turned around and offended within episodes, because that's what happens to me. I will have somebody on. So I went to Texas. We all know that now. I've talked about it a couple times. It'll come up more and more over the next few weeks. Here's a great version. Bunch of people say they're going to check out my podcast, and I don't know how or why the most random shit. They picked random episodes. They didn't just go to the recent one. They didn't go to most popular. They picked random ones. and a bunch of them picked ones where I just happened to be railing on Trump. Just going off on Trump because he said something that pissed me off. And they're like, yeah, I really liked it for the first hour until you turned on my president. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. Listen.
Oh, they were from Texas.
I go off. Yeah. And I'm
yeah.
like, listen, go watch this one where I went off on the lefties and I lost like 7 subs in one podcast during the podcast. It's the only time I've ever done a podcast and went down in subs by the time we got done.
I pissed one person off, and I think it was someone on some Reddit group or something where my video got someone put it somewhere, and like I antagonized him. Okay, so I made a bunch of comments about Rush Limbaugh on one of my things, and the guy was like, because I was, I had this whole thing about how I was like, how in a movie when this guy's down on his luck and he stole something, but it was to feed his family, and the judge is like, you're guilty, but I sentence you to time served. Now don't do it again. So I was like, do you think Rush Limbaugh in hell? Because all the lies he spread and how he basically kind of unraveled everything going on now is his fault. That's got to be the punishment for that. Has to be the devil, fucking you in the ass forever. But he said so much homophobic stuff that that he's into it. So you think the devil was like, "Hey, for destroying the fabric of America, I sentence you to getting fucked in the ass forever." And he looks back and goes, "Thank you." And it all turns out okay. And this guy was like, have a little respect for the dead. And I was like, oh, that's your problem with this? Just specifically is that he's dead? Yeah, that's why I hated history class, because there's all these guys in the mid-40s in Germany, and boy, they had bad things to say about them. So I feel you, man. Fuck all that shit. And he's like, I don't think I know what you mean. And I'm like, yeah, you do.
Do you think
I'm talking about Hitler, and you're all butthurt because your fucking boyfriend is dead, and you're a moron. He blocked me.
Do you think that? You think that when that happened, they took Rush's hearing aid out, so he actually just said, "Thank you."
He was just drooling Oxycontins out. So
It's more like a
"Thank you for giving me in the butt."
no, that's not what Rush would have sounded like. Rush would have been like,
I'll never understand. I'm just gonna touch on that part. Like the people who get so
I'll touch on your part.
Yeah.
Right? I don't understand. Like how do you lack the critical thinking skills?
They don't teach it
to where everything is it's just black and white. You know what I mean? Like to where you just attach yourself so much to you're either if somebody says something bad about Trump, now you hate everyone, or if somebody says something good about Trump, now you hate everyone. Like I just don't understand that thought process.
There isn't.
That is the thing.
Hold
on.
And I'm just using Trump as an example.
That is a great segue.
I could use it for AOC
this just
or anybody.
happened to me on Instagram for the first time. Okay, so I got off Facebook and I got off Twitter because they were so toxic. That kind of shit was happening. Mm-hmm. For the first time, it just happened on Instagram. Some dude posted, somebody I know and I've been cool with for a long time, posted that we need to address the fact that in 35 states it's legal for cops to rape prisoners. And I was like, dude, that's fake news. And he's boom, Snopes, CNN, USA Today. And if you just read the fucking link, fuck the headline that shows up when you click, just read the link. It clearly, and I already knew what he was talking about. It says 35 states allow police officers to have intercourse with detainees, right? So like if you're a prison guard and you fall in love, like you guys can have a relationship, right? Like there's weird circumstances where like a dude's been a sheriff and his wife got arrested for a DWI. Like,
well, that's because he knew she likes to party.
And
it's probably more common than not.
But this shit has happened.
DUI, she's going to let me do butt stuff.
I'm not even justifying it. I actually, here's
with
the point.
my own butt.
Here's the point.
DWA.
Is I clearly say, I clearly tell him, I go, dude, you're conflating sex with detainees and rape with prisoners. Either way, I think those 35 states should make that illegal because I think there's too many power situations where that can be exploited.
Well, the language is fudgy.
Right, right. But bottom line, it's not legal for cops to rape people anywhere. And he goes, you sound a lot like Trump right now. And I was like, dude, don't fucking put words in my mouth.
Yeah,
and
he goes, string a sentence together that long.
I didn't have to stop defending rapists. And I'm like, listen, motherfucker, like that's not what's happening here. You're being confused and spreading fake news. Like this is how people continue to hate cops.
there's enough
there's
reasons to
plenty of
hate
other-
cops.
yeah.
There's enough reason to hate cops. You don't need to add fake
There's a
fucking
million.
shit.
It's just, like I said,
It's the same thing like you just said, though, like with the Democrats, with the Republicans. You say one thing, and then they grab that and they run with it
Yeah.
to an insane place.
We
Now-
realize we're not wired for all this. You know, like the Dunbar's number
We're
thing.
not.
It's like,
no,
well,
we're not. Trust
well, I
me,
am.
the Zoomers
No,
are
no, no.
fine. They're laughing their asses off.
I
at
just,
us.
like I said,
Can you
I just,
imagine growing up seeing through everything so like people that are older than us are like,
It's
do
hard
you,
for
do
us
you
to
think
understand
the
this.
game's a little bit rigged? Like, yeah, but they're like every 20-year-old's like, yeah, I grew up fully being aware of that. Like, I know
Yeah.
exactly. It's like my parents are only rich enough for me to get into this, and this industry.
Yeah.
That's that there's a caste system. It's completely written in stone. I totally see it, and we are just going to move forward knowing that. I'm like, good for you guys.
I wanted to talk about that, and you bringing that up was the perfect segue. So
like I said,
go ahead and finish.
Well, I mean, yeah, the only thing my thought is just like, so it, like there's a stark difference between saying, like, I mean, I hate to use Trump because it's so polarizing, but whatever. Like, if somebody's like,
just pick somebody up.
or use somebody old.
Well, because you know the sci-fi trick is that you don't, and I won't
Bring
derail
up
this.
Eisenhower.
I won't derail this, but
nobody
this is
gets offended when you bring up Dwight.
I won't
fucking
even
Eisenhower.
kind of do. But look, no, I
Fuck you.
no, like, okay.
You fuck.
He was weird looking.
If you want to have a conversation with somebody and avoid all of their weird trigger
Yeah,
spasms
don't
and shit,
use the-
so you got to make up. That's why sci-fi is actually not about the future; it's about now. You can go, hey, this guy who builds rocket
So
ships
call him
is
Barack Obama.
yeah.
No
Well,
one,
okay,
no
I'll
one
just-
will get offended.
Okay, we'll just leave names aside. My
Okay.
point is like there's a difference between like
Or just use a
supporting
foreign leader.
so there's a difference between like supporting or condemning somebody's actions and supporting or condemning the people who support them. So
yeah.
So like but everybody, not everybody, but so many people
We're painting with broad brushes. You don't have to worry. I
so
think
many
we get your
so
point.
many people react as if it's a personal attack. And like so
Ad hominem. Yeah.
so it's just I just like I said I have such a hard time, and maybe it's because of like what I do for a living or whatever. Like everything I have to do revolves around root cause analysis and data and like digging into things. So like I don't understand how
You're paid
people,
to think.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't understand how like how can you get so passionate and so riled up about this like this idea when there's so many layers to it. You know what I
Tribalism.
mean? It's like, yeah, like
all it is.
again, it's the equivalent of like
Actually, there's a word for this. It's the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah, yes.
I just brought that up. We're
we
not
talk-
wired to care about more than like 50 fucking
No,
people.
the Dunning-Kruger
Oh,
effect
oh,
is
sorry,
when
that's
you're given a small
Dunbar's
amount of
number.
info.
Sorry.
Yeah, Dunbar is like, Dunbar's number is like 250.
Dunning-Kruger is
Dunning-Kruger, you're too dumb to realize how dumb you are, basically.
No, Dunning-Kruger's...
It's in one of the classes that I
Dunning-Kruger effect is you get a small amount of information, enough to comprehend the basic concept,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but you don't understand the layers of nuance that go into that. And the result is you perceive yourself to now be an expert or an
Yeah.
authority on the subject.
Because you didn't realize
People
how
do this-
complicated the subject
People
was.
do this when they argue flat Earth. Anyone who argues flat Earth suffers from the Dunning-Kruger effect, meaning they literally can't do the math that is there in front of your eyes, but they think they know enough about physics to legitimately stare
Yes.
a physicist
Mhm.
in the face and tell them you're a round Earth shill.
Well, they're just
The
getting
Earth is
paid by
flat.
Big
Well,
Globe.
That's a direct result and example of the Dunning-Kruger effect, and that's what you're kind of talking about. The layers that go into that, the vast amount of cause and effect. It's like a ripple effect. Like rarely does one pebble go into the butterfly effect.
Right.
That has a very vast long-term indirect
Mhm.
effect, but the butterfly effect, the single pebble, the single ripple, has almost no direct effect. But that's what you're talking. People look at the whole and go,
Yes.
"Oh my god," and they try to singular it down to one. Like every action is you dropping a nuclear bomb. So if you're not perfectly walking the tightrope of your alleged political beliefs,
Mhm.
then suddenly you're. My own friend tried to do this to me. He said, if you don't support Antifa, then you're clearly pro-fascism.
Profa.
And I was like,
ask your
go
doctor
fuck
about,
yourself.
because clearly everything is black or white.
ask your
So,
doctor about Profa
if
today.
you're not this, you're that, and yeah, it's just I don't know, man. I'm just
So if you're
done
not
with it.
for Black Lives Matter, then you're a racist. And it's like, so what about all the black people I know that say, well, I'm down with Black Lives Matter, of course, but the organization, nah, I ain't about that shit.
There's also more than one organization. It's like saying Antifa is one thing.
But you can't generalize. It's
not a sweeping
we're currently,
singular.
and it's just our generations and older. That's why we're all referred to as boomers now. Like,
Yeah, right.
if you're not a Zoomer,
Well, everyone thinks I'm 29. So
for real though, if you're boomer, so if you're not a
older than
Zoomer,
13.
if you're not a Zoomer, then you're a boomer to them, because
Mm.
even the millennials are so fucking old that we are like actually trying to paint everyone, like the kids, they laugh at Me Too, they laugh at cancel culture, they laugh at all this shit because it's like they know what real problems are.
Yeah.
They know what real social bullying
That's why I
is.
like the
They
kids.
they're fucking, this generation is awesome. They're the
Like,
ones
everyone
in Greta
that I've
Van
ever
Fleet.
bought- everyone
They're
that I've
the
ever
ones in
bought
Stormbreaker.
fucking
They're
Molly
the ones
from.
with smoking hot girlfriends. They're the ones with 1,000 followers and they're in a local band.
Well, they're
You know
dating
what
a
I mean? Like,
generation of women that know what intermittent fasting is instead of some like cheese baroness.
dude, it's our generation that's confused and lost, and the world is laughing at us. That everyone who's not our age is literally looking at us like, you think those are like, that's a thing? That's Twitter. Y'all actually listen to Twitter? Y'all
I
are
don't.
hilariously
No, I
stupid.
don't.
Dude, I'm the Zoomer whisperer. Like
But
some
like
of the
we
people
were
that I
painting with a broad brush,
Yeah.
that's what they do too. Like, oh, you're of that generation, like you think that's a real problem? Like, oh, you actually listen to Twitter and then you make those things happen in real life. It's like an idea doesn't exist,
yeah.
an invention doesn't exist, a thing doesn't exist until it's thought of first. And then when you put that out in the world and people
That's only if
jump
you
on,
believe in linear time.
you can manifest anything into reality.
Well, it's
so
just-
we actually made racism worse over the last 4 to 12 years by talking about it so much and pointing out how everything's racist. That didn't make everything better.
No,
like all
I
of that shit got worse.
Talking about it was pretty important because it's pretty fucking bad.
Not talking
And it
about
was-
it.
I think it's
talking about it so much and pointing out everything is
well,
racist.
False alarms are Well,
My big thing is it's
I'm going to start scooting my
My-
chair
well,
away from
Well,
the table.
because the point is people start to back off and people to start to get desensitized to real problems because they go, oh, everything's racist.
I'm gonna
now.
say-
yeah, but
I'm gonna
those people are fucking.
I'm gonna
stupid.
sum up my point in just this statement. Okay, so
Or gun, pick your issue. It's,
we live in a world where there's a million gradients, right? There's just a million gradients, but so many people choose to either see black or white, and so it's just you're either with us or against us. You're
Right.
either this or that, and then they speak that way, and then
and you're just speaking hyperbole, like black or white, like on off binary. Yes,
yeah,
or
I don't
no.
mean literally.
right.
Like I'm not talking about skin color. I'm talking
Right,
about
yeah.
just like it's they see in
1, 0.
They see in one or
red,
the
blue,
other.
red, blue. There we go.
Yeah, they see in one or the other when there's just
Yeah, go for it, dude.
so many gradients to everything. And then like for someone like me, again, like it's the way I'm wired and it's what I do for a living. It's what I teach. It's all these things I teach. Root cause analysis and dissecting everything, and so it's just so frustrating.
So
it's like
root
how
cause
do you,
analysis. Do you think so? Is that like? There's a way certain people think. Is it basically you break everything down into like first principle thinking?
well, I mean,
and
it's,
then rebuild from
mean,
there
well,
and
like-
figure out where the real problems
yeah,
are.
I mean, one of the
is
one
that
of the,
what root cause analysis
yeah,
is?
I mean, one of the primary things that I teach is that you like the people, you can call it cognitive dissonance or confirmation bias, whatever, but you've got to remove your bias. You've got to like you can't. You got to dig down to the right answer, not what you want to be right.
right.
And I think
correct answer.
I think most people are not these days. No, I shouldn't say most people. There are a lot of people who aren't equipped for that, and I think social media exacerbates that because you throw something out there, you get 1,000 likes on it because you said something that most normal people would agree with. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just tough, and I
think it's interesting too, though, because like the correct answer, it doesn't always line up with like the moral right answer.
More often than not, the correct answer isn't what you want it to be.
Right.
You know, and like when I first started teaching root cause analysis, I used to tell people, if you're doing root cause
You
analysis,
look good, by the way. You look like you lost some weight.
Thank you.
my penis is moving. We'll touch that later.
Your penis?
Yes.
We'll touch on that
So
later.
one of the things that
But it'll be with your mouth.
one of the things that I teach
That's fine.
is if you're doing root, and you can apply this to anything. If you're doing root cause analysis and if you're doing it correctly, if you find yourself starting to get angry and upset and frustrated and you get that nasty feeling in your stomach, you're probably on the right path. If you find yourself feeling good about the root cause analysis, you're probably adhering to confirmation bias. You're just going to what makes you comfortable as opposed to what is the correct answer.
That's interesting because I heard a similar thing for intellect. Like when you get in a conversation and your brain starts hurting and you get uncomfortable, like you can physically feel it. That's actually an extremely healthy thing because your brain is, you're feeling.
Your neurons are working towards each
and
other.
They're physically, they're actually like developing new neurological pathways. That's actual critical thinking. So like when people get uncomfortable, like especially like on a podcast, I kind of I think it's hilarious, but I want to be respectful, so I'll steer away from conversations if I sense people being, because I have fucking empathy, right? And so I'll steer away if I see somebody's really getting uncomfortable. But Rogan talks about this all the time too. The only way to get through this weird shit for apparently just our generation and older is through these extremely uncomfortable conversations that people don't want to talk about.
Yeah, it's gotta
because
get gross.
avoiding, it's almost like what you just said. Avoiding and not talking about the problem is exactly how you make a problem worse, right? So how did we make...
that's like not going to the doctor for that lump because you're like, I don't want to hear what he has to say.
So how did we make a lot of the actual cultural racial issues better? Was through comedy, through bits, through black and white comedians talking about our differences and our similarities, right? And then
Blazing Saddles.
And then as soon as cancel culture came out and you're no longer allowed to make a racial joke, now suddenly racial problems are increasing. You see what I'm getting at here? So it's like the intolerance of the positive things, right? Now the only vestige we have left are just uncomfortable conversations. If now personally we disengage from one another because it makes us uncomfortable, now no one's talking about it in any way, shape, or form. There's no fucking construction happening whatsoever. And the only way anything gets talked about is confirmation bias, because you end up in groups of people who only think and talk like you, because you're only going to talk about things that you all fucking agree with and feel comfortable with. That's more confirmation bias. That's called an echo chamber, and now we're on the internet.
That's real tricky, though, because I do agree with what you're saying, but there is a weird dark side to that, and it's called calling everything an echo chamber when you don't actually need to listen to bullshit. And it's like when someone is just and again, I've worked in marketing, I've met the devil. I get how it works. And when someone's like, you should really hear this person out, I'm like, they're a machine that is repeating a thing they're supposed to at the behest of the rich people that have handed that down to them. And I'm like, I don't have to sit there and fucking... Neither of you guys do this, by the way. As Alexis was running into it a little bit at work.
I didn't take that personally.
No. I'm not saying...
I definitely feel like you need to work...
There's a difference between like...
I feel like you need to work some shit out, but I didn't take it personally, so go ahead.
No.
Take the mic, my brother.
There is... but there's well, it's that whole both sides thing where it's like, if you're like, I think we should kill all the Jews, and I'm like, well, I think we should kill none of them. Like, all right, well, potato, I guess we got to kill half of them. Like, that isn't cool. That's fucking stupid, and that is a big part of where people like us kind of do get frustrated and pull back out of things, because it's like, dude, like, yeah. They're literally, I read the transcript they handed the guy at Fox News to tell you so you could bring it up at Thanksgiving. This isn't your idea, Grandpa. This is fucking just a thing you're repeating out of fear.
How can you change his heart and his mind without having an uncomfortable conversation with him?
And
how do you get somebody to leave the KKK without having a conversation with those guys? Yeah, the black dude.
I posted his fucking thing on Instagram last year.
It's hilarious because Joe Rogan basically like discovered him. He was already super famous way before that, but no one knew about him. Like I had seen a video of that exact dude on Facebook years ago.
Yeah, I pieced together on Joe Rogan's thing while they were talking. I was like, wait, I've heard this before.
Dude, that's exactly what happened to me.
I've actually watched a documentary about this guy. I didn't realize that was him.
Yep. Well, see,
because it was
And my thought is, I was actually having a pretty good conversation with some buddies about this the other day. Like my thought is like, and I hate using these terms. They get overused. So cancel culture, we use this term all the time, and it's just annoying. But I think a lot of people are going about it wrong. I think if you're engaging in these things in current society under our current understanding of what's acceptable and what's not, then go ahead and cancel that motherfucker. If you're canceling somebody who's grown because of
From
something they
10,
said
15
10
years
I
years
think
ago.
we
in the
can all
past.
agree that's
That-
definitely shitty. Where it's like,
And,
oh, really?
but
You're
the
who you
thing
were
is-
when you were 20.
So we can agree on that, but
Yeah.
the vast majority of people don't. And to me,
So-
we're missing.
so let's put
it's
this-
let me
let's-
finish this. Let me finish this, please. So
I just want to put it in context. So Deshaun Watson
Mhm.
currently stacking allegations. He's up to like 24 last time I heard. Cancel that motherfucker.
yeah, if you're not showing growth,
Right.
You know, like so to me. But I think the missed opportunity is you should celebrate that. You should celebrate growth. And a prime example.
Glad you figured shit out and you're a better person
Yeah,
now.
but
But
Yeah.
wanting John Wayne movies removed because 30 years ago he said something before he died that was racist. Like,
Yeah, that I
Dude.
think.
Well,
you know, but here's the thing. I think the majority of people don't think like. I think that's a loud minority
yeah,
on Twitter.
it is exactly.
It's a bunch
that's
of weird
exactly
green
that.
hairs. I was call
But
it-
they hold so much power.
They're
that
extremist.
voice.
I want you to
it's on
finish.
its
I just
fear
wanted
again.
to put a couple
Yeah.
examples
Well,
in
so,
context
like-
in case anybody hasn't been able
I'm
to
gonna
keep
like.
up with
I'm gonna
us.
condense
They're
this.
basically QAnon binary. They're
I'm gonna condense
they're
this.
just a really loud fraction of that.
I'm gonna condense this so we can move on to like funny things that the three of us.
Dude, I'm laughing my ass
But-
off because we're talking about preposterous things. This
so-
is hilarious.
So what started the conversation
QAnon
that
non-binary.
Wow.
That's great.
what started the
I'm
conversation
definitely writing that down.
what started the conversation that I had the other day was my Facebook memories. And every time I see stuff from like 10 years ago, I'm like, holy shit, like I can't believe I posted that.
Yep,
I
me
can't
too.
believe I used that word. I can't believe I made that joke. I can't, and like, so my thought was like, man, like in the way like that this very loud minority likes to handle this stuff, the extreme, if they were to get a hold of some of these things that I said 10 years ago, I'd be fucked. But I look at those things and go, holy shit, I can't believe I said that. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
like you should celebrate that growth.
Yeah,
you should
yeah.
The
celebrate
fact that you would not say that now. should be
I've
you going,
literally
I'm
cringed.
glad I grew up.
I've literally cringed at some of those memories. I've also laughed because some of them were like spot on.
Mm.
Like one time I was like, all my friends bragging about moving to LA. I was like, yeah, come talk to me. And I literally went X amount of years. And that many years later to the fucking day, I was waking up, I was on the bus going to work. This is when I worked in downtown Minneapolis. You don't drive in downtown Minneapolis, you just bus down there.
Mhm.
But they were having a serious fucking water crisis. Like the worst. I don't remember what year this was.
Everything's
2012,
okay there now, though, right?
2014. They did figure a bunch of shit out in the last few years. But
Yeah,
this
LA's
was like,
great.
this reached a tipping point where it was an actual crisis for the first time. And it just lined up that article the day the crisis was announced, combined with my memory speaking about like, yeah, come talk to me in X amount of years when you have no fucking fresh water left.
Yeah.
Dude, the way it lined up, I smiled and grinned because I was like on point on that day. But I cringe 10 times for every memory that pops up of a post I made
Yeah.
versus that moment.
Mhm.
10 times more,
Yeah.
a memory pops up on a different day and I cringe and I go, I can't believe I was like not only thinking that way, but I was like posturizing or
Yeah.
postulating, whatever the word is,
Yeah, I think
online
pos-
I was like, this is that shit we talk about 10 years ago when you're 25.
Yeah.
When you're still an idiot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But when
Mhm.
you're 25, you look back at your 15-year-old self and you go, he was an idiot, but I got things figured out now.
Well, you should always
We
think
can do that for each other.
and you should continue to grow.
Yeah,
And
you
we
should
do
always-
that. We
yeah.
all do that. Just like you said, we can all
50-year-old
agree
me
on that
is
now.
going to
Yeah.
think 40-year-old
We need
me
to-
is a moron.
Yeah.
But we need to
What were you
allow.
doing?
I think what you're getting at is like we need to allow each other to do that.
Oh,
So
yes,
if
we do.
I
Yeah.
fucking remember you saying or doing something 10 years ago, go, dude, he was 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Well,
a
like
numbskull.
29.
Like,
the
what do you
joke,
want?
the joke that I made,
yeah.
the joke that I made during the conversation
He's
was
been married and divorced 7 times by then.
Yeah, he's got it. He's got it.
the joke that I made during the conversation was I just said like like my grandma was super religious, right? And I was like, man, my grandma would be pumped because apparently the second coming of Christ has happened with a fuckload of people
Right.
because all these people are perfect. Apparently,
yeah.
they have no skeletons in their closet. They've never said anything that was ever inappropriate ever in their life, right? You know what I mean? Like it just blows
Yeah.
my mind. It's like, no, dude, like if you're a human and you're a decent human, you should continue to learn and grow and adjust as you go through life.
Well, I had made I was talking about how when I do get frustrated with those that are supposedly on my side of the fence a bit more, and it's because I was like, I never liked the people protesting like concerts in the 90s for being satanic or something, because they're tribalist, puritanical, they reject scientific things or whatever. When people are like rejecting biology, telling you how to think, whatever, now I'm like, guys, I know you don't go to church, but you're not acting a whole lot different from these people spitting at me when I was trying to go see Nine Inch Nails in 1995.
Right?
So like it's like, and again, it's why I'm not such a dickhead atheist. I'm like, I'm a little bit mushroom spiritual, I suppose. I'm not against anything like that, but like where I'm like, no, my problem wasn't with religion, it was just the behavior. And when the behavior manifests in other groups, I'm going to go, hey guys, this is an exact outline of what I'm pretty sure isn't cool, and
That's
you're doing
where
it.
I've always said,
You're following that same playbook.
And I don't like the playbook. That's my problem.
And where I've always, like, the words I've used to describe that is, that makes sense to me. And I, as somebody who believes in the traditional sense of God, I also can't stand those people. And I will tell people, but you have a problem with people. Like, those are just other shitty people.
Yeah.
That's not the God they represent.
No.
Like, trust me, those motherfuckers are not first in line. And they're going to have hell to pay. That's where that phrase comes from. Like, those motherfuckers ain't going, bro.
You used to tell me that, like, when I was struggling with, like, religion and whatever, like, back when you were in DE, you used to tell me that. Like, we had a conversation, I remember, and you were like, oh, you don't have a problem with Christ. You have a problem with religion.
Yeah, and the people.
And it kind of clicked with me a little bit, because, again, I like critical thinking. It was like, yeah, maybe that's what's happening here.
Yeah.
I'm judging this ideology based on a bunch of fucking
Shitty
dickheads
people
that I'm meeting all the time. And like
I can count the amount of, I have more legitimate friends in this world, like people that I know I could call if I'm in trouble. I have a lot of those friends as musicians, and the networks we've built far beyond the typical Dunbar's number of to go back to, which is about 250 people you can keep legitimate relationships with.
Yeah.
With us and our lifestyle and the people we build relationships with. And I've talked about this on podcasts. We don't have the 6 months to 3 years it takes. So we are forced to develop bonds and relationships in like 6 hours because we meet at a show and then I don't see you again for 6 months. Or maybe we rehearse across the fucking hallway from each other, like the Bainhinge boys and shit, you know? So and then the amount of people we meet, we have this as musicians, and I'm convinced there's actual psychology behind this, where we have the ability to be a little bit higher than 500. So most people in this world, including us, still only have like your best friends you could maybe fill one hand with, but there's still a grip of people you can call if you're in trouble that will help you, right? I have a lot of those fucking people. And I feel really fucking fortunate. But God damn it, I just lost my train of thought.
That's
Man,
right.
I was
Jared,
onto something.
I was gonna
I gotta go piss anyways. And I wanted to say something. When I pissed in that sink like an idiot, I reached over to flush it.
No, you flush it by running the water.
Run it while you're.
No, I know, but I literally finished.
You're like, all right,
and you went
now
to-
I went to flush it, and then I'm still conditioned. I went to put the fucking seat down.
There it is.
I was like, I stood there, I laughed, and I was like, I'm a fucking idiot.
no, I was gonna say
What
though.
were we talking about though?
Oh, no, I was gonna say,
dude, this is a good point.
You should
I want to
state
finish
your
this.
hypothesis and then work your way back. Because I've noticed when we've talked, sometimes you'll start and you'll be like, "Well, this is my point, dude," and you'll go and you'll go and you'll go, and at the end you'll be like, "I don't know where I was going." You got to do it like a college course where you're like, "Here's the thing: the fucking like the cat in
What
the
the
hat
fuck
was like a
Jake,
symbol for
guys,
Buddhism, and then you
what
gotta
were we
like walk
talking
back."
about? What the fuck were we talking about?
I don't know. Probably either cancel culture or property taxes. That's the only thing we ever.
Fuck. We were talking about
it's
like
okay.
religion or some
No,
shit.
yeah, Dunbar's number, and which I think is like it's like 100 people. It's not even 250. It's something about musicians being able to become more empathetic. I don't know. My thought on the whole
develop
thing,
relationships quicker, and I can call a lot of people for help.
right? Which is a whole thing.
Oh, this is what it was. Here's my point. Okay, so like good friends, still best friends, still normal handful of people.
Yeah,
But people I can call for help, like I would consider great human beings. I have a large list of those people.
yeah.
that number is greater than actual good Christians that I have met in my entire life. Like people that I have met that are good. This is my point. People that I have met, being somebody who's gone to a lot of churches and I have a lot of Christian friends, the amount of good, true Christian friends I have is less than the same number of best friends I have.
That is not shocking to me.
Maybe 3. The rest of them I've met are normal assholes who either are total pieces of shit and they just think they can go to church and pretend they're remorseful and be forgiven.
Yeah.
Or they were like raised in like an environment where they claim to be Christian, but they don't hold. It's like a lot of people are Jewish. It's like, but they've never been to a synagogue type deal.
Well, the interesting thing
Does
is
that make
that
sense?
yes, because I'm very able to take a step back out of myself. Probably all
And the rest of them are
hallucinogenic
just
drugs.
normal people, dude.
But the thing is it shouldn't be every time I meet someone who's like had a really strict evangelical upbringing and then they're cool. It's shocking to me. And so the fact that it's shocking tells me that this doesn't happen very often.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's my own barometer for being like, well, okay, like I met a couple of kids who were like probably closer to my age, but they're like, oh, you guys are actually pretty cool. And they're like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, that's novel. You know why it's novel? Because it's rare.
As soon as someone claims to be Christian and then turns around and says they're going to condemn because their judgment in their church, go for it. And will you grab me one too? If they turn around and condemn someone for like being gay or being trans or any of that other shit, I'm immediately out on their version of Christianity, because here's my point. As an American and as a Christian, it's none of my fucking business. I believe my God is real. But how do I know that, like, it's all based on faith? There is no proof. I find it highly unethical for me or my people to impose our religious beliefs or our political beliefs to tie back into everything we've been talking about on anyone.
The topic that we all said we weren't going to talk about.
On anyone. And here's my point. Not even my own children. And people are like, oh, bullshit, you lost me. You just lost all credit. No, because that's the way I was raised. My parents were very 80s style Republican, not oppressive Republicans, but just like freedom-loving Republicans.
Very 80s style Republican. Not oppressive, but wait a minute.
Because there's
When I
two
think
different
of
styles
80s
of
style.
80s Republicans. There was like your Midwestern normal people that just wanted lower taxes.
You
and
mean
they just,
everything's almost on a gradient?
No,
Yeah.
they wanted to just kind of like get the government so they could keep their small business profitable and shit like that. And then there was the other Republicans that were like super war hockey, and they fucking like. There's two different types of 80s
No,
Republicans.
I know. Well, the old 80s ones were the ones that were Republican, because people live for a long time, so it's like
30
30 years
Democrats.
before the 80s.
You mean the ones that were canceling everybody who was doing things that they didn't like?
No, that's the evangelicals. Those are still around.
Yeah, they ruined this fucking country.
Those are
Weird. It's a good thing we don't do that
dude,
anymore.
Here's
Oh,
the point.
God.
Those were never
With a different group of people.
When I say Republicans, the evangelicals, the Satanic Panic, when I say Republicans, they're not even in that group. Yeah. Those are conservatives that are beyond the party and just happen to currently be
Probably
Republicans.
That alone to me is so weird. Like, I don't know.
'Cause
And
the
maybe,
I did a deep dive on the Satanic Panic thing, by the way. and
Here's the respect I do have for my fellow brethren, whether I'm forsaking them or not. The evangelicals, I have one piece of respect for them.
they're hilarious.
Over 40 years. 40 years
They work excellently as a bad example when you're trying to teach empathy and how to build a society that actually works.
40 years of me
Because you
being,
need that to be able to point
40
to.
years of me being on this planet and in this country, they've been consistent. They're predictable. I always know what I'm getting from the evangelicals. I'm never surprised. I'm never surprised.
Hatred and bullshit.
I'm never surprised. I'm never
Where else am I going to
surprised.
get that from?
I'm never surprised. Therefore, I can plan for that. I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
handle that.
I get
I
what
can
you're saying,
teach
yeah.
my kids the problems with the evangelicals from day one. But I was raised
There's no growth there.
even by a Republican style family, right? And as a Christian, I was told to go figure out my own path.
And that's rare.
that's the way I'm going to raise my kids.
Like, I
and
remember-
that's the way we need to start talking and treating each other. It's really none of my fucking business if you like to suck cock or not. It's really none of my fucking business.
Unless you're good at it, then I want.
Well, then, I mean, we should have a bigger conversation about that.
And here's the thing: is it's really none of your business if I'm straight. Like if I'm married, it's really none of your business whether that's to a man or a woman.
yeah,
Seriously, fuck off.
Mhm.
Like unless I choose to talk about it, you don't have a right to know, let alone
Yeah.
use that against me as
Yeah.
a judgment of my fucking moral character. Eat shit.
If everyone on Earth was exactly like me, we'd all be really cool with everything, and
Now-
nothing
now
would get
here's the
accomplished.
point.
Be like, I'm not.
Now there's a bunch
Picking
of
up garbage?
there's a
Fuck
bunch
you.
of there's
Do
a,
it. Do
there's
whatever
a
you
bunch
want.
of conservatives.
There's an underlying point to that.
There's
Yeah,
a bunch.
like,
There's a bunch
we
of
almost need a lot of different people.
We kind of do.
Well, there's a word for that. I think it's diversity.
And I just want to
it
let
is.
everybody know I just put myself on the evangelicals list of Satan worshiping, gay loving
Good. Fuck 'em.
communists.
well, they need that.
what
so.
I just said.
Yeah. Otherwise, they'd be out of business.
what I
Yeah.
just said means
what would
now
they do
that
if they
I
couldn't
hate
hate
Jesus,
anything? You know, they're
fucking
No,
bullshit.
my thing.
But
I was.
that shit happened to me in Texas too, man. Like in one group of people, they were like, "Listen, man, that liberal bullshit ain't gonna work around here. You got to pick a side, commie." And I was like, "Dude, you realize up in Minnesota, like I'm not liberal enough, and
Dude.
I get called a Nazi and a fascist."
in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I
it
was
was
drunk when I said
absurd.
that, but
Picking
That happened in Texas.
The
I'm not
ability to,
joking.
that's kind of it goes back to what I was saying. Like, and this is
You
just
were
my
the one that called me a fascist.
this is
though.
just my
I-
this is just my opinion. But to me, if you're
Joking,
if
but
you're
I-
somebody
I-
who's
I-
able to legitimately
care what
like
you do.
pick a staunch aside, and you're just like, this is where I'm digging my heels in, and this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
I don't think you're very intelligent.
Well,
I'm sorry,
because
but I just-
you're leaning on that. It's a crutch.
it's an identity in
for
it. Yeah.
critical thinking.
Yeah.
It's fear drives a
It's
lot
also
of
very dangerous to be in the middle, though. It's
But
safe
I-
to pick a
but
side.
I've been told. So here's
the
what
middle's a bit of an illusion though too, because like where the middle really is kind
well,
of.
but and I've been told this.
I
I've been
agree
told
with
this,
a lot of shit Republicans say about
I've been
how
told-
far the government should go, and I agree with a lot of the shit the Democrats say about how many people we shouldn't leave behind. So I am very much in the middle, and everyone hates me for it.
The
Well,
actual
the middle is
different than
it's
the-
like yeah, but
Again,
so like
it's like, oh well, we'll just kill half the Jews. That way, everyone's happy.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, no.
but what I've like
I'm literally saying moderate. Like
But,
I'm
like,
a
yeah,
moderate.
whatever,
well,
like-
that's different though.
I mean you can pick whatever
gotta
vernacular
pick a
you want to
decade,
use.
too.
They
Like, am I
even had a
60s
different word
moderate?
down there.
Am I a
Vernacular, for real.
2020
Down there,
moderate?
they go, "Oh, down here we call you a centrist."
Yeah.
And they were like, "We're cool with centrists, but y'all are also a big problem."
So this is one.
Where are you like?
That's what I'm saying. Like so one of the things that I've
Like,
been
I just
told-
asked
cool
you.
with you
I just
'cause you
asked
don't
you for
threaten us.
fucking directions, Cletus. I
So-
don't fucking care about whatever this
Everyone
is.
I met was cool. They I
Yeah.
never met a Cletus. No.
one of the things
I
that
just mean, like, why does that even come up?
I'm moving there. It was awesome.
one of the
I ain't
things that
talking
I've been
shit
told
about
like
Texas.
numerous times, and I just find it so crazy is like I've been told when I say because like somebody will be like, and I like literally this has happened. You know, are you a Republican? No. Are you a Democrat? No. You know, like whatever. You know, and I'm like, to me, I think like.
Oh, you must be libertarian. Why do you have to put me in a
well,
box?
well, like, and so at the end, I'm like, I just kind of, to me, it's just.
so you didn't learn
I
how
just-
the world works.
I just look at like different
Cool.
layers and different you know, and I try to look at all the inputs and I try to come up with like, you know, what kind of makes sense and yada yada yada. And then I've been told, so I've literally been said, oh, so you're spineless. You stand for nothing. It's like. You're spineless. You joined a gang. You're the fucking
Yeah,
spineless
right.
one. You know, you
again, it's
back to
fear.
the echo
It's fear.
chamber
It's
thing.
big
Yeah.
trucks and tiny
I'm
dicks.
just so
it's just fear.
I'm so
Or
done with
electric
that.
cars
and
and tiny
that's where I
dicks.
say it. That's
Doesn't
where I
matter
say
what it is.
At this point, I'm just kind of.
I fear nothing, so I
I'm
don't
at a
subscribe
point
to
where
much.
if that's where you are, if you're going to join one of these gangs and that's going to be your entire identity, I'm sorry, but I don't probably respect your intellectual ability anymore.
No, of course not.
If
I'm
we're
done.
symbolizing political ideologies like this,
Prison
where you have
gangs?
to pick a vehicle, no, you just inspired me on doing imagery, like a thought experiment.
Sorry,
for
everybody.
images, for images, right? Like, okay, if
This
you,
is hilarious because we were not going to talk about this.
And I was
if
so
you're
excited.
right-wing, if you're right wing,
I
you're
was so
driving.
excited.
We're
to
having a
not
pretty
do
good
this.
convo about it.
This is great.
Yeah,
this is
it's
super.
C+.
I would like to start talking about
This-
some funny things.
this
Yeah,
is it.
7 out of 10.
This is entertaining, and it's surprising
I don't
how
want to meet.
intellectual
I don't
the
want to
three of
meet
us
the
are.
person who's enjoying this.
I was going to say the live
Probably
chat is
penis.
done.
Yeah, God.
It never really got started. So
Let's
that's
roll
fair.
into
There.
something else here.
But if you had to, if the right wingers drive big 4x4 like fucking diesel guzzling, right, and the left wingers drive like pure electric cars, like I could literally own both, and that would piss both sides off.
Well, not me.
Like,
be like, what-
that
what-
wouldn't be good enough because
what do you-
I
what do
see
you
a
guys,
purpose and a
I
utility
mean,
for
that alone,
both.
though, we see people who are
appreciate
like,
saving $1, and the rest of you are just trying to show off.
like I've
No,
seen,
like I might need that big ass 4x4 to fucking do shit. You don't know
well,
that.
I would be impressed if
But-
you did,
but
because
the
there's a
guys
lot
who
of
look
all
at me-
hat, no cattle out
But
there.
the
that
guys
I'm
who look at
real
me and go,
tired
"Oh,
of.
you drive one of them electric cars, you must be a fag."
But that-
like I'm like, wait a minute, no,
Yeah,
no.
the oil
I'm just
companies
trying not
paid
to
someone to
burn
convince you
ridiculous
that that's
amounts of
stupid.
fucking gas money.
That alone-
because I total back and forth to my studio 7 times a day.
I
That
want a
alone,
car
though-
with a nuclear reactor in it, like a
That's
Russian
one
sub.
of those layered situations.
That alone to me, though, is like to like literally judge someone because they drive a Prius, or to literally judge someone
Which I
because
do.
they drive a lifted big ass. Who cares? Like, dude, like we all have so much shit that we're trying to do and navigate through in our own fucking lives. Like, if you have time to be that concerned about that kind of shit, and I'm envious of you. Your
No,
life must fucking rule, because I don't know about you guys.
No, their life does not. Because that's the thing. I don't
How do
care.
you- I'm being
about
sarcastic.
Any
How
of
do
it,
you-
but no, but
that
that's a
brings
good
a good-
point.
and it's
Because
a
my
good
life
question.
rules, and I spend 0 time thinking about any of this stuff. Like I just do whatever I want all the time, and I'm not afraid of my shadow. So like my decisions aren't based on like, well, what if I lose everything? I'm like, I'm smart enough where I won't lose everything, so I'm cool. I'm
Yeah,
fine.
right.
So I don't need to worry about they're gonna come and who are they? They're gonna come and they're gonna what? They're always just about they're gonna come in. Ooh, it's gonna happen. I'm like, what are you so worried about? 40 years of making only terrible decisions, and I'm fine. I have a wife who makes a lot of money. I live in a big house. We fuck a lot. It's great. I do like I'm uncancelable.
Don't get me wrong.
We're like, oh yeah, like we got into John because we wanted him to jack off in a movie theater. So when he does it, we're happy for him. We don't tell him to go home. We ask him
real.
if he's staying for the late show.
The fucking
Like,
the gun nuts do that shit too, man. Oh, they're coming for the guns. Who?
I don't know.
No one's doing that. Like they might.
I hate
it might be hard to buy them certain ones for a while, but
Well, maybe
no
it should
one's
be.
coming. No one's coming to take the guns. Who are they going to do? They're going to get other people
As
that
soon
own
as you
guns
use
to
the word "they," I'm done
you're
with
out.
the
You're out.
conversation.
You're out
coming for
because
the
they're
guns.
always just about to put a microchip in you. They're always just
and I'm
about to.
super pro 2A. I got a bunch of guns. Don't even think I'm one of those.
No, I'm
No.
strapped literally right now. We've been over this before, but like but I come from a long line of like NPR
My guns here
outdoorsmen.
somewhere. I have
Like,
actually 3 guns in this room, and
You mentioned that.
I've only got 2.
I know where 2 of them are.
I bought an AK-47 because
Jeremy,
it's funny, but
give me
also
my gun back.
because I wanted to see if they'd let me, and they did.
No, I think I brought it upstairs.
AKs are very reliable.
That's why I got one.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to like upgrade it with
I have
scopes.
an AR.
And, but
I have an
you-
AR-15.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It has a very, very tactical purpose. It is not a recreational gun, but it is
Mine's
a
both.
very universal gun. It is not for recreation. It is definitely for
I just like to
killing
hold
things.
it while I jerk off.
It makes me no.
It's for killing things.
I'm just joking.
It gives me that like Joker laugh whenever I've gone and like when like adjusting it and you end up hitting the dirt a few times. It's like a helicopter's like 10-foot plumes of dirt. I'm like, I shouldn't have this. How did this happen? But I just do things because I can and not because I should. Hence my other body count. Where I'm like, it's like I don't even like this girl, but I have a point to prove.
Let's go.
That's also why I have a machine gun in my house.
That should be a transition.
Clip that. Clip that, guys. Timestamp. Clip that. Body count. Somebody put body count right now in the comments. People are still watching this for
Dude,
sure.
because it's precious moments,
Put
man.
body count.
Side
Put
hybrids.
the words body
Shut
count
up,
in
Bill.
the chat and fucking timestamp that for me so we can come back and clip that.
Ryan, what's up? I love Ryan, man.
That
Ryan
is
Huss.
that's legitimately that's legitimate though, dude.
It's a
Because
dog
like,
training word.
man, I gotta tell you right now,
Ryan is kind of a hoss.
Hoss.
How do I know that name? Who is Ryan Haas?
Hoss.
How do I know that name?
We
know him.
Hoss, mish.
We know Ryan Haas.
I've known Ryan.
I don't.
I met him.
Wait.
dude, like years.
Someone else
By
tell
the way,
me
if you
I
guys
know.
haven't already, thank you for joining us. Please hit subscribe. We're still on the
Yeah,
grind to
hit, smash
1,000.
that like and subscribe button, y'all.
We gotta get to 1,000, so YouTube will pay us just for doing
Yeah,
this.
and this is worth money, certainly.
Oh yeah.
But you don't have to pay anything. Just
No!
hit the
3
red button.
hilarious jackasses who've been only talking about politics.
Honestly, though, here's the thing: is this has
Holy
genuinely probably been one of the most constructive conversations. We have a lot of constructive conversations about politics and religion on this podcast, but this was actually probably great because it was also entertaining and hilarious.
That's true.
We never got too heavy on anything.
No, I mean,
Well, it started off.
It's probably because the three of us are capable of critical fucking thinking.
Yeah, well, none of us get scared when we're in the room with someone who's like, "Yeah, I see it a little differently." I'm like, "Yeah,
Right?
that's fine."
I'm encouraged by that.
Yeah,
I
I'm
want to
still gonna
learn.
be okay.
I want to learn from you. I want to learn. To a certain
Jeremy,
extent.
what do you? I don't mean to. I hate this. I like the French style of like not going. Well, what do you do for money? Because it's gauche. I want to hear about your hobbies.
tried to explain
but
it
you're,
earlier.
you drop these nuggets of you teach people like interesting things. What do you do?
So I'm a leadership and development coach for a private education company.
That's cool.
And so
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's really what's really cool is
Keep going.
I'll give it like the real short version. So when I got done
I mean, take your time. We're on a podcast. What do we have?
When I got
surgery.
when I got done touring, I needed a real job again.
Right.
And so I got back into like loss prevention, asset protection and stuff, and that was cool.
Yeah.
That's where I met JP, who's been on this podcast. He's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
But eventually I got to a point where I was like, I need to make money. So I got into manufacturing.
Okay.
And so I started working like the 70-hour work weeks, getting my ass kicked in manufacturing, whatever. And that ended up bringing me to a company where this guy, I'll say his name because he's awesome. His name is Mike Reinitz. He discovered me. I was the grunt sweating it out on the line. And he's just like, you think differently. We need to get you somewhere else.
You're better than this, is what
And
you
so
discovered.
which I don't mean. I mean, like
I'll say it. I don't work for anybody.
I worked.
I mean, I work for myself, and my boss is a real asshole.
I worked with a lot of really awesome, cool people. In fact, one of my buddy Josh Sather, he was a big part of that too, because he, they were kind of like, well, I don't know, is he right for this role? And my buddy Josh was like, dude, yes, he is. And so they ended up getting me into this office position, and then I ended up, because I don't have a college degree, I ended up going to this private education company to get some certifications. Fast forward. I ended up getting. That's the company I work for now.
Okay.
The same company that educated me is the same company I work for now. And so I get just this amazing opportunity to coach people, to teach people. And one of my favorite things is it's most of it is all in the manufacturing industry, which is an industry that desperately needs better leadership.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm really passionate about it because I get a chance to influence these future leaders so that they can be in their company and create a better work environment and a better way of life for the people who are doing the kind of work that I used to do.
That's very interesting. And it's, I love hearing that sort of job even exists, let alone that you do it. Yeah, that was funny.
Pick a side hybrid.
You
Never.
Yeah. But yeah, that because I always wondered, like, there's so much stuff out there to be done, and that the fact that there's someone who the position was created at all to be like, hey, it's important that maybe like people, this gets spread around a little bit. Gives me some amount of hope.
I for the first time in my life, I'm 39 years old. Like I finally, like, I love what I do. I love the company I work for. I mean, it's just, I love it, dude. I absolutely love being able to have the opportunity to impact and do these things. And unfortunately, I suffer from a really extreme form of imposter syndrome. So
I think we all do.
Yeah.
I'm always like, despite everything I do, despite my savings, in my mind, I'm this far away from being homeless, even though that, like, there's almost, I don't want to say it's impossible, knock on wood, but I mean, like, it's stupid.
Oh, it's like
it doesn't even make any sense. I'm like, no, dude, we're this far away from just being done.
Dude, every time we do like a survey right after I get done, after any of us get done teaching a class, there's a survey.
Yeah.
And every single time I'm like, the class is done and I'm like, oh God, I could have done better. And then I'll get, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I'm just going to state facts. I get really high ratings every single time.
I believe that I would listen to you about something, and I think that's great. I like even the story too of like how someone just literally recognized it in you.
Yeah.
You know what? I think that, like, you could be utilized better, because in my perfect world, everyone would actually get, some brilliant, writer isn't washing dishes because they just don't know the right people. It's like, no. In the perfect world, it's like, hey, are you actually good at this?
Yeah.
Maybe you should be doing this.
Yeah.
And that it actually makes me really happy. It's the kind of thing that makes me feel like, well, if I ever had to get a real job, it's like, oh, stuff like that exists. Like, they care.
And I'll tell you, and this job, and I'm not going to say what I make, but I actually took a $15,000 a year pay cut to take this job,
to do something you cared about every day.
Yeah, because so when I got discovered by Mike, I ended up.
But you're still balling, so you need to fucking Uber your cheap ass home instead of worrying about driving home drunk.
It's not about drive. I mean, I don't want to drive, but there's different reasons why I don't get drunk anymore.
Do you live nearby or no?
Plymouth.
Well, that's not actually too far from here, though.
No, it's not
I
too
spent
far.
so
It's
much
like 5
time in like
minutes.
Bloomington and Burnsville and stuff that I feel like Plymouth is a million miles away. But from here, it's not
it's
really.
not.
Yeah.
No, but
Okay.
so I ended up in that capacity.
We can hang out more.
In that capacity, I ended up in a senior leadership position for a really, really big company, and at that point in time, I was making like
More.
bank money,
Right, yeah.
well into the six figures, and then but I was miserable, and then this company, the company that I got my education from, the president of that company hit me up. And he was like, well, we can't match that salary, and like, anyway, so we were going, but at the end of the day, I was like, I'll take the $15,000 pay cut because this sounds like something that I'm going to be happy with.
And
That
you're not going
you made the
broke either.
right choice there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dude,
that would only be a bad idea
and
if
it's
you
not
were
like-
making $15,000 a year. And you're like, oh
Yeah.
shit, I can't volunteer.
I mean, a prime
But-
example is
yeah, yeah.
when I got COVID, I got COVID at a time where we're ramping things up again with in person. I had a bunch of classes. I had a lot of stuff going on. And
yeah.
without
How'd you get it?
COVID,
Yeah.
oh,
Was it given Seth head? Because
Oh,
he says you only need to give okay.
Did
head.
you give Jeremy the vid, Seth?
So I'll explain that in a second, but like, so I ended up getting COVID at probably like the worst time for my company, and like,
yeah.
from
There
giving
was-
Seth head?
yes. And there was zero. There were, like most companies,
Confirmed.
when something like that happens, there's like all this animosity and these backhanded comments and
Shout out to
whatever.
Seth.
Nothing, dude. Like, these people just boom stepped up. These other instructors came in and like covered for me. I mean, it was just I was blown away. I actually, I'll fully admit this. I'm not afraid to admit this. We had a team meeting the other day, and our Friday team meetings, we talk about a success story that we had, whether it was personal or business related.
Right.
And I said, mine was both. I said I beat COVID, but I also learned that I work for a company that like has my back.
Yes.
And I actually teared up. I teared up when I was talking about it.
I
'cause,
would've.
like, I was just like, I couldn't believe the president of the company covered for me. The
Yeah.
fucking president. I'm just like, I'm just thankful and fortunate, and and
You
it's
almost
just-
said blessed.
you almost-
said
you-
blessed.
I don't say blessed.
You almost did though. I
that
see.
is
You
a-
went like this. You went.
That is a red flag.
Lucky.
I've learned that any woman that I've
Hashtag
ever
blessed.
any woman I've ever dated who says the word blessed.
Oh, she's gonna baby trap your ass. Yeah.
Baby trap your
Dude,
ass.
I got chided by a roommate years ago because I'd be like, bringing home maybe like a slightly paunchy but sexy to me green haired like punk rock girl, and you'd be like
Slightly paunchy.
You'd be like, some people's standards are like California 11s, but they've never gotten laid. It's like the kind of guy that's like, what kind of guitar do you play? And I'm like, I have a PRS. Be like, oh, I like Gibsons. I'm like, oh, you have a Gibson? Well, no, but I would if I like,
Yeah, but like,
shut the fuck up.
can imagine what it'd be like if you had one.
But it made me think though, so I was happy. I was like, listen, I know
That's
you've
why
never.
I always go. I like Les Pauls.
I know you've never gotten a woman in your life, but here's the thing: I bring home 7s so I don't end up with a kid. Like, I'm smart enough to know that like some weird 10 with a belly button ring is gonna fucking fuck my life up so bad. I'm like, no. I'm gonna slum it on a weeknight.
So is the 5. So you got to get ready.
Oh no, yeah, that's why you like. Oh, there was that Jim Jeffries bit that was one of my favorite things ever. Where he's like, "No, I'm about a 5 or a 6, right? So I should be fucking 5s and 6s, but I'm famous, so I could be fucking 7 and 8s, but I'm an alcoholic, so I fuck 2s and 3s."
Yes. I love that bit.
God, that's a fucking. I spit something out. When
Jim Jeffries is a secret, sneaky,
I love him.
elite level
so
comedian.
much.
Burn
Elite
2
level.
recognition.
Yeah,
Elite level.
Yeah,
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I love playing this game, and this is like the perfect environment with the perfect people. If you had to do a Mount Rushmore of comedy, okay, so all time, but it's just personal, right? So
Right,
you're
yeah,
not
for me.
We're not trying to arbitrarily like these. We're the deciders, and we're gonna pick.
got
the
it.
Mount
I'm
I'm
Rushmore
going to
of
be
comedy.
that guy right now.
I got it already.
I was reading the chat. I did not hear what you wanted us
Mount
to
Rushmore of comedy, but it's just
Oh.
a personal thing. So for like, I'll start off with 2 that I think
I'll do all 4.
can't be disputed at all. Actually, you go all 4.
Stanhope, Mulaney, Kreischer, Louis C.K. That's the Mount Rushmore for
You're
me.
personal.
Personal
And that's,
as far
that's
as
also
who
current.
has
That's also all,
informed.
and those are all current.
do. No, well, not Louis C.K.
Yeah, he's current.
Well,
Number one, he's not dead, and he's absolutely back out doing shit.
Yeah. But that wasn't to be controversial. Just as far as why did I do stand up for a year before COVID shut it down?
Oh, yeah.
Those 4 guys, and they're also very dissimilar from one another. Stanhope and Mulaney have fucking nothing in common,
So
except
for
for the
me-
suit coats.
Yeah.
For me, number one is Chappelle with a bullet, and
That's a real good
I
one.
don't think it's even close. I have to put Eddie Murphy up there.
Yeah.
I have to,
Fuck.
and then
I'm gonna go last. This is gonna be tough.
and then immediately,
You can pick some of the same people.
and then immediately, Bill Burr. Because if I'm going other current, because I'm trying to think of all time, I gotta
Burr
go. Bill
was a
Burr.
close call for me.
I
On
gotta
what I just
go
said.
Bill Burr. Bill Burr is it's him and Chappelle right now active. They're the 2 best in the game, and again, it's not even close. And my sneaky fourth, it's still to this day a coin flip. It's either Jeselnik or Tom Segura, because I'm telling
Yeah.
you, he's a fucking sneaky motherfucker.
Segura is
He
why I'm
he is
also have a
fucking-
podcast.
I love
Your Mom's House is what I'm
Segura
ripping
is
off.
a fucking heavyweight that you don't even know
his
is
storytelling is just
there.
bites.
And then I will put outside of the Mount Rushmore, I will say that
You've got the lobby at front Mount Rushmore.
Like-
now. That's
Yeah.
like Burt Kreischer is the second best storyteller
I'm
currently
so
out there.
I'm.
It's Chappelle and Kreischer, because Kreischer can take just something dumb
Why don't I
and
like
turn it into
Kreischer?
an hilarious
Because
story.
I like you and I
Because he
like
reminds you of you. That's why.
No.
That's why you can't get into
You
it.
might
Jeremy's
be
impulse
onto
control
something
is so
there.
much better than Kreischer's.
No, because he reminds you of you. Because
You
that's
might be
why I
onto
love him.
something.
That's why I love him, because he reminds me of you.
Because he tells all these stories about himself, which
No,
makes me
no.
think of me.
Yeah.
No, it's the guy is a laugh factory. Like, he can tell a story that is like, it was funny in the
I'm gonna
moment.
have to think about that one.
And
a
when
little bit.
he
You might be right.
retells the story, I feel like I'm in that moment again. Like, there's certain stories you've told on the podcast when we've been hanging out where it's like, dude, I start giggling as if I was there again.
yeah,
That's why I was trying to get you to go into comedy with me, not at like we're gonna go on
I
stage
do.
together.
I still do
but
want
I was
to do
like,
it.
this
but
It's
motherfucker,
really fun.
this motherfucker would, like, as soon as he understands how to do it, this motherfucker would. He's like Burt Kreischer. He would just bring the fucking
Yeah.
house down, dude. Like, no one would want to follow him. All you got to do is figure out you in comedy. Like, there's a formula, and then there's the art. And once you bridge those two, then you're a comic.
Well, the interesting thing is learning how to get closer to just being yourself on stage, which is like a thing that seems
I think
obvious.
you'd be
I
fine with
think
that
my
part.
the
But you
You'd
have
be
to
fine
get,
with that.
you got to fight through the like. Oh, I'm up here. I better be presentable. The more the less I've planned, the better I've done.
See, I think I need to take that because like I've had times in my life where I've wanted to do stand up comedy, but then I've gotten to that point where I'm like I'm self-awareness to I have self-awareness to a fault.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in this day and age. I mean, I even say that when we're going to do a podcast. I'm like, man, I really want to be funny, but I'm so worried about what's going to happen when I say something.
Oh
you know?
yeah, if you just
And-
stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I will.
That's
put
why
this
you got to
aside.
build that passive income. So if you do lose
Yeah,
that dream
I have an
job,
unfair advantage.
you're financially still
Yeah.
okay.
Of it doesn't matter what I do.
Yeah.
At all. And I understand that that's not true with everybody.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, well, why don't you? I'm like, dude, I get that you got to
I
keep your
if-
house in
if
order.
Any
you know?
potential, if any potential employee or employer ever saw a single episode of the wrong podcast, the single wrong episode of
Yeah.
any one of these
Yeah.
podcasts, I'm not getting a job ever again.
Yeah.
Like, I've officially that's why I keep begging
So
you
what-
guys to hit subscribe.
So what was? I'm sorry. So what was your 4?
Say that
Chappelle-
again.
Your Mount Rushmore.
Chappelle, Segura,
it's a
Jeselnik.
coin flip between either Jeselnik or Segura.
You can just put them together.
I can't decide.
Yeah.
Because you got to go
'Cause,
era
dude-
by era too. Because Chappelle would be
Dude,
one for me, but I
I'll-
don't even consider him someone I could touch as far as an influence. I'm like, I'm not doing what he
Yeah.
does. So I kind of left him out. But
There's-
Burr too.
There's one single bit in Jeselnik's last special
Yeah.
where he talks about the old man knocking on his door every day to see if he's
Oh.
seen his wife.
Yeah.
And he goes, every day this old man keeps knocking and knocking, and every day I have to keep telling him. And after a while, and his wife's been dead for 20 years, but, and I have to keep telling him that his wife's dead, day after day. And so I think about just not answering the door, but every day I answer that door I tell him his wife died just to see the smile,
Smile
on his face. Dude, that single bit is like so obvious what he's about to do to you. It's that single bit is as good as Dave Chappelle's kicker in the pussy. I told you the punchline up front, and you still didn't see it.
Yeah, it's still
That's
funny.
how good I am. I gotta make America wait again. Dude, that shit, dude. But
Jeselnik's motorcycle one is my favorite of his.
But the reason it's still a coin flip with Segura is because Segura's last special, the entire thing, it's like you're watching a heavyweight fighter in his prime.
Dude.
Tom Segura is a fucking heavyweight, and no one knows he's out there unless you already know that he's there.
I'll give you my
following. But
Exactly.
Now
but,
he does, yeah.
But the
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So like when people go, who's a comic? You're into comedy. Who should I listen to? And I go, Tom Segura. They go, who?
yeah,
That's the shit I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Rarely, unless they go, oh, Tom Segura, huge fan. You're either already all in or you have no idea who he
Well,
is.
there's
That's
like
the problem. And also true with Jeselnik. We talk about Jeselnik.
yeah,
all
he's
three of us
niche-y.
know him.
Niche,
Yeah, yeah.
niche.
But
Well, him and
I
Mark
actually,
Normand and
I for whatever reason, I actually don't like Jeselnik. I've watched
Too condescending.
there's
too
something
dry.
there's something about him where I'm just like, I feel like he's the kind of guy, if he was at a party, I'd want to fight him.
Because
Yeah,
he's got that I'm better than you vibe.
Yeah,
Well, you know,
yes.
he knows that, and that's
Part of it.
100%
And
on
it's,
purpose.
it's not that I
He
don't
goes-
think he's funny.
he-
it's purely personal.
At one of the
Yeah,
roasts,
yeah.
at one of the roast battles where he was a judge, he goes, "Yeah, people talk a lot of shit because they say I come off like I think I'm better than all of you,
Because I
and
do.
it's true.
Yeah.
It's because I am,
And that's that's one of my favorite things. So one of my favorite things about
because I am.
one of my one of my favorite things about
That's the
podcasts. One of my favorite things about podcasts now is you get an opportunity to see these comedians in like being not
prepared.
Not
and just
pre-
kind of
yeah.
like, hey,
and I
we're-
think that's changed. Like I dislike Jeselnik less now that I've seen him
you
on
got
podcasts.
to know
that's
him.
him.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
him.
I still am not like I wouldn't go see him.
Have you ever heard his NFL podcast? Because you're a football fan.
Yeah.
He does that football one
Oh,
with
really?
what's his name from NFL Network, and Jeselnik is like, even though this is a partnership between the NFL and Comedy Central, I
Jeselnik is
cannot-
Tasha's
I
evil
can-
twin.
I cannot be held liable for anything I say. And then the other dude's like, I still work for NFL Network, and I've been explicitly told I can be held liable for anything you say. And they grew up best friends. Like literally, they grew up like they went to elementary school with each other. One became an elite level comedian, and one is a regular name on the NFL Network.
Yeah.
He's like a very well respected dude at the NFL Network. And yeah, Jeselnik is authentic. Segura, authentic. Bill Burr, authentic.
Yep.
That's not an act. Burt Kreischer, authentic.
Yeah.
Chappelle,
Yeah.
authentic.
So I'll get so my I guess my Mount Rushmore. God, it's so tough. I would say for sure Eddie Murphy, which is hard for me to say because let's be honest, I've only seen
It's only 8:21.
I've only seen two stand-up specials of Eddie Murphy. How can I put him on Mount Rushmore? But I've only seen
They're two of the biggest
Yeah,
specials
I mean,
of all
they're
time.
two of the most important ones anyone's ever
but
done.
still, so I gotta say, like the ones that are easy for me to say would be Eddie Murphy, Bill Burr, Tom Segura. Those three are easy for me to
yeah.
say. Now when I'm
What
only
about
left-
you guys as
when I'm
he's
only,
finishing up?
when I'm only left with one other one, of course, that's what's tough. Because I want to say Tosh, because I love the fact that Tosh doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I mean that motherfucker, that rape joke that he got yelled at. He's like, wouldn't it be funny if somebody raped her right now? I mean, that was fucking savage, you know.
That was pretty brutal.
And it was brutal, but it was like it was
My
one of those.
wife, even my wife laughed at that.
It was
joke,
one of
though.
those where like that was a super uncomfortable laugh. And then like Chappelle.
Well, it's the epitome of jokes. It was the true unexpected
It was
comeback.
it was the perfect
And then-
wrong thing to
And then
say.
like Chappelle. So my thing with Chappelle is weird. I don't know if
It
you
was
guys
like
are this way.
a heckler comeback.
So like
Norm Macdonald. Mitch Hedberg.
Let him finish
This
his
game-
fourth.
this game
Let
is
him
hard.
finish his fourth.
fuck,
Sorry,
Mitch.
sorry.
Jeez, Mitch.
I
fuck.
know.
How the
Hold on.
fuck did I forget Mitch?
There's too many good
Finish-
comics that I love.
Okay, finish before we read their
Yeah,
responses because
okay.
I did ask
I'm sorry,
them.
I'm
I did
finishing
ask
it.
them.
So my
I
my
did
thing,
ask them.
So my thing about Chappelle, it's funny because like I don't know if you guys are this way, but like I don't usually laugh a lot when I watch a Chappelle stand up. I laugh when I reflect on
Yeah.
his stand up.
Yeah.
It's smart. It hits me
yeah.
later. So like, there's so many of them where I've watched.
Wow,
I'm like,
that doesn't happen for me because I watch. So I will not watch stand up with other people.
yeah,
Like I'll rewatch it with other people. Like, dude, you got to watch this
fuck,
shit.
Mitch, goddamn.
But
Yeah,
I
he-
won't do it. So
I fucked up. He belongs on
It's
there.
like certain.
You know what? I'm gonna say Mitch. That's my fourth. Fuck it.
Is it
Mitch.
because he's local?
No,
Is
because
there a
he's
local
the funniest guy in the
It's
world.
because
Is
it's-
why, like,
and it's God. He's just
he did an hour of one-liners, and I remember all of them.
his fucking one of my favorite. Like, yeah, I remember Mitch Hedberg's
All right,
stand
you
up
know
the
what?
way.
You
hold on.
You convinced me. You changed my mind.
I
Sorry,
remem-
Tom.
I remember-
Sorry, Andy.
I remember
Andrew.
Mitch. I remember Mitch Hedberg's stand up the way I remember songs
Yep.
that I like.
Yeah,
Mitch Hedberg.
you know, or even concerts, like the one where he's bombing in that special, and he's super fucked up, and then he goes and
Yeah.
sits. He goes and sits down in the back of the stage, and he finishes the special sitting in the back of the stage, or like the back part of the stage.
Yeah.
And he's like, apparently my jokes are funnier from back here.
Yeah.
And so like he finishes the entire a fucking special. This motherfucker finishes a special.
Yeah.
Nope, you're
Sit
right.
down. Thank you. Who was that? Who said
That's
Mitch?
Bill. That's my.
Yep. All right.
No,
so
you're right.
so
You're
what did
right.
I say then? I said Bill Burr,
God, Norm Macdonald's. A good one, too.
Bill Burr, Eddie Murphy, Mitch. Who the fuck? Tom Segura. That's,
Yeah.
Tom
Fuck.
Segura's a sneaky heavyweight
I
who deserves
love
to be
his,
talked about.
I love it because Tom
What if
Segura.
would it be easier if we separated it and said like all time, meaning
By
like
era-
they're
well, yeah,
already
'cause
retired?
that's true. Because how
and then
did none of
current?
us say Pryor or Carlin?
Well,
God, it's so
but I
tough.
feel like that's such an easy answer to be
Yeah.
like, oh well, all
Everybody
time
says
it's like
that.
Carlin, Pryor, da da da. It's like when you ask some band,
Okay,
they're like,
so
who's
reti-
your
okay, so
inspiration?
let's
and
do
they're
this.
a death metal band. They're like, well, Beatles, Stones. Shut
Okay,
up.
so let's do
Yeah.
this: retired or dead Mount Rushmore, and then current performing Mount Rushmore. Because that's way more respectable. Because
Yeah,
like
that is
we
a
really
different-
shouldn't be talking about motherfuckers that are
Yeah.
in the game right now versus
And compare
motherfuckers
'em.
that are like long gone and don't even have a chance to put out a new
Yeah.
special.
Yeah.
Right. So like in that respect, I'm going Carlin, Pryor immediately.
Yeah.
Right, because they're dead straight up or retired. For now, I'll still throw Murphy in there, and then I'm gonna be sneaky and I'm throwing Roseanne in there. Like, because back in the day, she was a monster. She was,
Yeah.
She put the ability of female comedians on the map. Like
Well,
females, wouldn't
Roseanne
even,
was like the female Sam Kinison almost. Like she's
Exactly,
a lunatic, like
but-
on stage.
but lived longer, had a longer
Also,
career,
Kinison on
sustained
my
it,
dead people list.
generational changing
Fuck,
talent.
Kinnison, dude.
Oh.
He was a fucking rock star.
That
of
guy
comedians.
did not truly not giving a
Okay.
fuck made into an art
Okay,
form.
you go this time. So dead or retired?
Ah, fuck, man. I mean, it's
Dead or
the-
retired?
The dead or retired is tough because it's like I feel like we're all gonna say this. I mean, like,
Can you still laugh at a Pryor joke?
If it's fun, there's actually,
I
you know
can.
what?
I still relate to Pryor
his,
jokes.
when
Same
you
thing
buy-
with
when you-
Carlin.
when
I feel
you-
like Carlin shit has matured like a fine wine.
Carlin for
he was
sure.
almost a prophet.
Carlin for
Prior
sure.
saying when you
Motherfucker.
buy a house, anything that goes wrong is $500. I mean, inflation probably $2,500 or whatever. But whatever. When I got a house, I thought about that.
Yeah.
It's still
I was
it's,
like,
it's
oh,
still
yeah, this is
$500.
Still, well,
It's still $500
Carlin
because
for
there's a lot of
sure.
shit that's only $100
every
now.
little thing. Yeah.
Carlin for sure. I'm gonna go against the grain here a little bit. I don't know that I so much find Pryor
Oh,
as
David
funny
Tell.
now as I
Stop
did.
reading them. We
But
gotta
I'm
wait to get to
facing
them.
it.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Okay, I got this. I got
I
this.
don't
got
know-
this.
I don't
Keep
know
putting
that
them
I-
in the chat, but we're gonna get to these because we're gonna.
I don't know that I find
ones we
Pryor
forgot.
as funny
you
now
go.
as I did years ago. Like I've actually sat. You know
Well,
what?
comedy famously doesn't age very well. Like, if you're
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Lenny
That's true,
Bruce
too.
was so important, but if you actually sit and listen to his stuff, you're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? He's
Yeah.
like, well, I was down on the street, and then of course on the street there's the people on the street, and everyone's laughing like, what the hell's going on? But
That's
I
true.
understand that he was on heroin and fucking everyone's
Yeah.
mind up, but like he was Mitch Hedberg then.
Ooh, so I guess Mitch would actually go on the dead or retired.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
Which means then I could put Chappelle on the current
new one.
Yeah.
This game is getting
Now I'm
Yeah, so
confused.
sorry, Roseanne. Sorry,
Yeah.
Roseanne. Mitch just went on the retired list
He's
for me.
so important.
Yeah, I mean Mitch for sure. Mitch has to go. Okay, so if we're going to the
Do you think?
dead
Do
or
you
retired,
think Jimmy Carr or because Jimmy Carr is a very set up punchline guy? Do you think?
I gotta fucking piss again.
Do you
Yeah,
think-
well, it's all the
next
beer.
dead comic.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you
He's
think?
pissing out all that heroin?
Do you think John Mulaney or Jimmy Carr, that renaissance of that style, would
Yeah.
exist without the Jimi Hendrix of comedy, which was Mitch Hedberg. Because I don't think the setup punchline.
Mulaney,
setup punchline.
Well, Mulaney is kind of a story guy, though.
He's evolved. But
a
he still
punchline
started
story
off on
guy.
that, and it's still very rapid fire.
Oh yeah,
So-
he is a laugh a second, which is why he's on my mind. He was one of the reasons I wanted to start doing comedy.
It's not that Jeselnik Chappelle style, that slow burn. It's just a continuous. It's more. Here's what I'm getting at, because as a musician, we can talk about this a little differently than the normal.
Yeah.
There's a rhythm. So Mulaney, he gets it. The whole show is on beats. It's on a pace, like literally when I say pace, like step, punchline. Turn your body.
He's like a Johnny
show,
Cash song where it's like a dun,
very
dun,
very
dun.
old show tunes. Bah, here
Yep.
I am. Here's your punchline. Bop,
Yeah.
bop, bop. He didn't see this coming. ... But all the jokes are short and concise. That I think that renaissance is because of a guy like Mitch Hedberg.
Oh, I agree.
Because before Mitch Hedberg, everyone was trying to be Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Everyone was trying to be fucking already still Dave Chappelle. Everyone was still trying to be George Carlin. Everyone was trying to be Kinnison. Everyone was trying to be fucking Eddie Griffin or Martin Lawrence. And then all of a sudden this like rhythmatic, and that's what I'm getting at, Mitch Hedberg, where it's based on the rhythm, like he would bomb for half his set and then crush.
Yeah.
Because it took half his set to get in. It's like you're a metal band and I'm a blues band. For that first half of the set, the energy is so different. It's like ZZ Top following Metallica before either of them are famous.
It's a very
They are
different.
both, dude. I've been on this ZZ Top kick, and dude, ZZ Top is a different vibe watching them live because they're so
I love
subtle.
ZZ Top.
They are so fucking subtle, but the legitimate chops that they have is frightening. And if you came,
their heart is in the old devil blues.
but you know what?
So
do you see what I'm
deeply,
getting
like,
at, though?
yeah.
If you were to, before either band is famous, if you were to watch ZZ Top follow Metallica, half of ZZ Top's set is you going, oh God, I just came out of that. We used to talk about this. You listen to Guns N' Roses, then you pop on Metallica. Metallica sounds a little bit boring. It takes a while before Metallica becomes exciting.
Yeah, you got to get into the rhythm of it.
That's what I'm talking about with Mitch Hedberg. For half of his set, he would bore people and they're like, what the fuck? But then by the end of it, it took half his set to pull you back down to his energy level.
Well, I think that Mitch
bombed, went to the back of the room. It seems like going to the back of the room saved his set, but that was just him.
People were just
using
getting
it as
into
like
the hypnotic.
if we're getting into filming shit, because you're in a framing device.
Yeah.
He's like, he knew he was about to turn the room, but he wanted, because he's on fucking heroin, he's a rock star. He's like, I'm gonna go sit back there and prove how fucking good I am, because I already know I'm about to turn this room, because I've done this 1,000 times and I'm a fucking professional. It takes me halfway through my set to change the cadence, the vibe, the energy of the room, get them to my level. I'm so fucking good, I'm going to walk up there and sit at the back of the room on a special. That's Dave Chappelle levels of, I'm going to give you the punchline, kicker in the pussy, and then boom, you didn't even see it coming.
Yeah,
you're
I gotta-
right. Mitch Hedberg's got to be up there. He's the Jimi Hendrix of comedy.
Well,
man.
he's the missing link of the thing about Mitch Hedberg, and then I'll make this real short. Is just that he's a throwback to almost the original Catskills guys, because he would just be like, I'm going to tell a joke. I'm going to tell a joke.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell a joke. So he was almost a throwback to a forgotten era, but then he is also the weird blueprint for like modern absurdism and stuff. So he is at this bizarre nexus. It's almost like he has to
He's
be
a
dead.
catalyst.
He can't still be alive for his place in history to make sense.
I gotta say-
That's all I wanted to say.
I gotta say, like, the only comedian
now
that
that you had time to think and piss.
the only comedian I can ever think of that, like, I remember we were doing some out
Keep
of town.
putting your suggestions in the comments, but I covered them up so
Yeah.
we don't get perverted
so
by
I
your
don't read
ideas.
them.
I gotta say, he's the only comedian
Yeah.
that I can ever think of where I remember we were doing some like out of town shows with that band Cold Colors. I don't know if you remember them, and like,
Nah, never heard of them.
so
I'm just kidding. Of
but
course.
we were out
Local
doing
legends.
but like we. In each of these towns we were doing, like, we were all just like riffing Mitch Hedberg quotes.
Yeah.
Like who the fuck?
I saw that
There's no comedian ever that where we were just like bouncing off their hits. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's a throwback because his
Yeah.
jokes are legitimately repeatable over and
Yeah.
over again.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
almost
funny
like
every
Andrew
time.
Dice
every
Clay.
time, dude.
Yeah.
Like
Like-
you could just read the book
I
of the
passed
one-liners.
a wino and he was eating a grape.
You got to wait.
And I was like, hey, you got to wait.
And does anybody ever deliver a Mitch Hedberg quote without saying it like Mitch Hedberg?
No,
because that was so important.
Right?
Like,
and it's about the timing and the rhythm.
Yeah.
This is what I'm getting at. Like, the jokes are what they are. If you deliver that punchline, you have to pause in the right spot for a brief. That's timing. That's comedy in its actual art.
Somebody said other people say funny things, and Mitch Hedberg says things funny.
Yes.
That was the. I'm like, that makes so much sense.
That's perfect. And
I got another example. Bill Burr. Don't answer this question. Bill
I'll
Burr's
try not to.
favorite joke. He didn't write it. It's not even by a comedian. It was by a waitress who got fired because she wrote a joke on a fucking receipt. She said, "I like my violence like I like my beer." Domestic.
Yeah.
That pause is crucial when you say it out loud.
Yeah.
But the Bill Burr describes it as, he goes, "That's the greatest joke I've ever heard or seen or read because there is zero fat on that joke."
Yep.
Yes.
Economy of words.
But
Yeah.
when you speak it out loud, that pause between beer and domestic is crucial. If you make it too long, you lose your flavor. If you do it quickly,
Yeah. There's that little nuance.
That is comedy.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean when I over and over continue to tell you, I think if you made the mistake of going Jimmy Carr or John Mulaney or Mitch Hedberg, you would bomb and never succeed as a comedian. But if you went like Tom Segura, Bill Burr, maybe. But if you embraced your personality and who you are and what is genuinely, without effort, amazingly funny about you, the same reason you don't like Bert Kreischer is because that's the storyteller. First
You're
of all,
onto something there. The more I was thinking of that when I was pissing in the sink and taking a
just
dump in the sink.
That silly,
When I was jacking off in the sink.
that silly, fun, boisterous personality that has zero problems pointing out all the flaws in themselves and the people that they love and care about, where even when you're making fun of me, I'm in on the joke. I'm not the butt of the joke. That's where you would shine. Like you, because I've seen you do it. I've seen you take over a room and tell a story, like in not even like an actual funny story. And every once in a while, just the perfect moments, to embellish where you'll go like, it's funny because you're telling the story from your perspective.
Yeah.
Because what went down definitely didn't seem that way to anyone else. But now I'm dying. I'm dying laughing, like losing my shit in the corner of the room, and I'm watching everyone stare at you. There's very few people like us that can take over a room like that. And I'm not even as good. I'm really good at like motivating and firing people up. You're good at taking that same thing and getting people to die laughing in unison at a timed punchline, and you don't even realize it. So once you hone that and you realize what you're already good at versus what you need to work on, bro, I'm telling you, you would fucking crush. And that's why I keep pressuring you on that shit over and over again for like 5 years now. I keep like,
I know, dude.
Dude, you got to do this.
I've had a few. Remember Julia Gulia? She was kind of.
She was fucking
too.
around with a little stand-up comedy.
She was kind of helping me with that too, and like I think that maybe that's part of that is like my imposter syndrome coming in, where I'm like, well, you guys just think I'm funny because you're my friends. You know
I think
what
there's
mean?
also
Like,
a fear of success.
I do know what you
too.
mean. Yeah,
I think there's a little fear of success too, because it's also unknown. And like, well, what if I succeed at this? Am I gonna have to make a choice? Am I gonna be forced to like give something up to take a chance?
Yeah. To be like,
Or all that anxiety starts creeping in your mind.
Back
And you're
on
like,
the road again.
right now I'm comfortable.
I didn't want to be.
Right now I'm comfortable and I'm happy.
Yep.
Like I don't want to do anything. Like that's
well, then
a
you
big
add
part of
the
it.
other
dude.
mix too is like as a musician, like you fuck up a part on stage, whatever. You're playing metal.
There's
you
a lot going
you got
on.
Four other five guys.
Yeah.
You fuck up a bit on stage as a comedian. Oh God!
Oh, let me tell you,
and it's gonna it has to happen. That's part of the process.
If you were mentally weak,
you have to suck.
If you were mentally
moments.
It does suck, but if you were mentally weak, I wouldn't recommend this to you. But you're mentally strong enough where I think you would see that as a challenge, and it would almost get you off.
I think
like you go, oh, so this.
Well, it has
like
to be.
I can write the perfect joke. It's literally almost like good comedians talk about bombing on purpose and seeing if they can turn the room.
Yeah.
Like that kind of shit.
well,
Like
yeah, 'cause
that's where
that's-
the real
I suppose
challenge
it's almost
starts
like a
to come
show
in.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, like the show, like we've done shows where it's like, oh, this is not going well, but then all of a sudden
the sound
you
guy
hit,
sucks.
You
The
hit,
fucking yeah.
you hit
Dude,
whatever
some-
stride in the show, and all of a sudden now you turn it.
Some
or
of my
you don't
some of
even
my
know,
best
or you
moments.
don't even know, and you get off stage, and then motherfuckers come up and they're like, "Dude, that was
Well,
amazing."
if I did play guitars, I'd use a Gibson. No, I was gonna say some of my best moments on stage where
I know I cut you off. I'm
no,
sorry.
no, it's okay. But
I know.
I learning to go, it's okay that it doesn't matter that I completely fell off of what I was so proud of writing or whatever. Like when I completely like forget what I was talking about. The minute you can finally go like, hey, wait, what was I talking about? You know, it's funny because I was da-da-da-da-da, and then that's a little funny, and then you get a laugh, and then you're like, oh yeah, by the way, that is what I was saying earlier. But as soon as you don't care that happens, you're in such a better place.
Yeah.
As soon as you don't care that you're like, dude, I got 10 minutes and I don't know if I'm going to make it to this really funny part. You fuck that funny part. Maybe forgetting what you're talking about, getting distracted is going to be the funniest part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
You don't know. And if you tense up and latch into that, it'll fuck you up. Is getting between your ears, as they say. And it sucks. I was just starting to learn that lesson like around February of last year. Right before I was like, oh, I could just go, like, I could just be like, yeah, and here's the thing about my electric car. And I actually, no, I was talking about my mom. You guys have moms. But if you don't care that you just end up on this thing and you're just comfortable being an idiot, being comfortable being an idiot.
I think
That's the important thing about comedy. Is it's like, I don't care
And
how
that's why
stupid
I brought
am.
up the Bert Kreischer thing.
Yeah.
Because like what makes you great and like where your people gravitate towards you is when you're willing to be
I mean, do you mean
super
me
silly.
or do you
Yeah.
mean the
You.
Oh.
Where people gravitate towards you is when you're willing to be super silly and you let go of every idea of being cool
Yeah.
or charismatic.
Yeah.
Like, dude, there's a side of you, and I've been trying to get that version of you on the podcast because it's not about getting drunk and getting crazy and unleashing Night Jeremy. And I got my other
Oh.
buddy,
Night Jeremy.
my other
I
buddy,
forgot about that whole phrase.
my other buddy.
But
The
now
only
I
reason I
remember.
brought it up, because it was just on Facebook a little bit ago. A memory came up. One of the rare moments of capturing Night Jeremy on camera. Somebody shared a memory.
I forgot all
But
about Night
regardless,
Jeremy.
of all
Oh,
that,
good.
I got another buddy, Anwar. Same thing. Like there's like layers of you guys, and I want the world to see this hilarious, silly, goofy, fucking amazingly hilarious version of you guys.
I'm only sorry.
And if you could capture that and then hone something you're already kind of good at, which is storytelling, dude, I'm telling you, you would crush as a comedian.
I had
But we
in
got to
my-
get to your Mount Rushmore after you.
in my memories, I had a Night Jeremy memory that popped up. The status was just I'm stuck at Roberts. The thread, and apparently whoever I was talking to must have deactivated their account or blocked me or something at this point. This was 11 years ago, 10 years ago. Sorry, I'm stuck at Roberts. I'm outside. I got stuck here. Please come pick me up. Paula Joe, please come pick me up. Paula Joe, I'm in Mounds View.
I'm in Mounds View.
Somebody goes, "Are you drunk, Jeremy?" Yes, Robert's Bar in Mounds View. Thank you so much. Everyone wants to leave. Can I say you're on the way? You rule. I'll tell them to go home. Thank you so much. I'm on the highway by Moe's. Just look for the guy with no shirt on.
There you go.
Sorry, I'm so cold. I'm on the corner. I'm freezing. This is all me. Paula, I'm outside at Roberts. I'm outside the door. Hey, a cop just showed up. Yes, Roberts in Mounds View. Yes, I'm an idiot. I am alive. The very final one. Sorry, Mom. Night Jeremy was out last night. I am okay.
You texted your mom all night.
No, my mom commented
On Facebook.
On Facebook was
yeah.
like, "Are you okay? Sorry, Mom. Yeah. That was Night Jeremy. Jesus, fucking
Yeah, we're not talking about that guy.
that guy.
No,
Oh.
I'm
I
talking
remember
about
the one Blue Felix secondhand story I got about you just while I was in the band was that you were at a wait. Do you care about anything I say?
No,
Okay, good. You guys were playing a festival, or
except
something.
for all the cocksucking stories.
No, it was
He's trying to keep those
literally
under
the
wraps.
opposite. Jake said that you
The
just had brought
opposite.
some chicken and were just like eating her pussy on the fucking
Oh, in the front lounge.
yeah,
That
and
is-
then
that is literally the opposite.
but it didn't. Then just like the culture of it was being painted for me. So like Wybot just walked in and was like, oh, just cracked open a beer and sat down and watched. And I was like, oh, Wybot watched me fuck a lot of girls too. Wybot's a peeping Tom. Now that I'm saying the
He's
story,
a voyeur.
yeah, he was. Yeah, but yeah, they were just like when I was
Creeper.
joining, I was kind of like, what is this like? Because I didn't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
learned, but it was like, like I was afraid that I was going to be either a problem or not crazy enough, and then it was just like, oh no, you're home now. Like you're fine.
If you and I had been in the band at the same time,
oh, yeah. God damn, there was when Exhale would. I love stories about yourself told from someone else's perspective
Yes.
are always funny. And we were in like Tennessee or something, and Chris was like, John kicked one of two girls out of a threesome because she was too gross, and then you and the drummer both fucked her at the same time. And then Jake was like, hey, at least they were a 4 between them, and I was like, hey, at least I got the 3.5.
I remember when I first joined Blue Felix.
I think that's why they told me the story about you. Wait, what?
Deco said, I've also seen Jeremy say he could kill people with his bare hands, all with a mouthful of mayo.
Yes. It was fuck, was that were we at Jimmy John's? I don't know. I do remember that. I remember saying that exact line, and then Ben was like, dude, you have a mouthful of mayo. It was like so
Like, this is the least threatening you could be.
Or maybe the most.
you gotta
Never trust a man with a mouthful of
if
mayo.
you ever get Kyle Skokvist on the podcast, I love the way he tells the story, so therefore I won't tell it. But
Yeah.
ask him about the time that we were handing out flyers at the Urban Wildlife, and then it was time to leave, and we ended up in the elevators at Garage C. Ben, you know this story. Ask Kyle about that story.
I
at
would love to
Garage
have
C.
Kyle on the podcast. All he's got to do is come to town.
That he
Because
we
he's
were,
in Michigan, right?
Yeah, we were
Yeah,
just
I'm
talking.
sorry again for Michigonites or Michigonians.
Michigonians.
Whatever the fuck you call yourselves. There is absolutely zero desire for me to come to Michigan and stack up a pile of podcasts. It's
when
not
Kyle-
happening. You got to
when-
come here.
When
You can
Kyle,
do it at the machine.
We're
shop,
close
that'd be
enough.
when Kyle tells that story, he
We're close
includes-
enough. Come here.
He includes the if you ever watch The Office, there's a part where Michael Scott is talking about a time that he was partying with Todd Packer. And he's like, I remember we were out with Todd Packer, and he met these twins, and we brought him back to the hotel, and Packer had sex with both of them. It was wild. Like, I mean, God, the way Kyle tells the Garage C story is just like that. It's just, oh well, whatever. I'll just say it. Who cares? People know that I used to be a degenerate. We were handing out flyers. We ended up.
Keep it, dude.
I still am, but I used to be one
Because
too.
the way you built this up, we have to let Kyle come on and tell it.
And the funniest
You guys
part,
got to make Kyle come on. You guys have to request
Yeah.
Kyle to come on.
my
We need to
favorite
get that
favorite part about that
in the
entire
chat.
story or experience was I don't know if this is normal or not, but the security guard he could talk and you could hear what he was saying in the elevator. So he was narrating what was happening in this public elevator. So like I had like a narrator. It was fucking out of control. It was out of control.
See, now you just got to turn that into a bit. That's the point. You just got to
was-
figure out how to
yeah.
tell that story.
Well, it just sucks though, because like most of my stories that are funny make me sound like a piece of shit. Because I was being a piece of shit.
So don't
I'm not. I don't think that's cool.
So that's how you spin it. That's
Yeah.
the point. Is like that's the turn. Is like you're not glorifying
no,
these stories.
God, I wouldn't.
You're talking because I've also found this out. Like when I really don't want to burn the bit online because I figured out this is a legit bit for when I finally get back in.
Yeah.
But you remember when we played that story or we played that show, and I was trying to like do bits in between songs.
Was this the
reunion show at
Oh, yeah,
at
yeah,
main
yeah.
event or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And remember that crowd was actually surprisingly big, but it was because there was like a retirement party or something going on in the back half.
Yeah.
So our concert
and this is a huge venue, way too big.
Yeah, yeah.
This venue is too large. The way it's laid out, like, I love that place, but they could almost have 2 bands playing at once on opposite sides.
Nowadays, yeah. Back in the day, you used to be able to pack that
but
place.
once you're on that other end, you can't see anything. It's
Yeah.
a different place.
Yeah.
So we're playing to this like half-hour crowd and half people, and they're lit up. Our shit's dark, so you can only see like 30 feet in front of you, and then it's black, and then all of a sudden you can see hundreds of people back there, old people, just staring at us like, what the fuck is going on over there? We're trying to have a retirement party.
Was that
And
when I
there's-
went out into the...
And there's
Wait,
metal
where-
bands.
where
and
is
there's
this?
metal bands. This is at the main event.
which I think it's called
yeah,
40...
yeah.
Route 47 now.
Yeah,
That
whatever.
was the show where that was when I
Oh,
went
is
out in
that
the
what
crowd.
that is? Okay.
Maybe. No, I don't think you did that. No.
Yeah, well, are you talking about when you
Yeah.
came back and filled in, right?
Did you go out in the crowd?
Yeah, remember, because you made a big deal about it. You were like, that's a rock star move or something like
Did
that.
I really?
'Cause- yeah, because like... Yeah, because it was that exact reason. I was like, everybody's back there. I want clearly something cool is fucking happening over there. So I walked off the
Okay.
stage and I walked all the way to the back.
See, this is the bravery I'm getting at, right? So
Yeah.
all my jokes in between songs are bombing these pre-written things that I think are hilarious.
yeah,
And they like legitimately, so there's something there. Like if you get into the science of comedy, if they really make you chuckle, there's something there. It's your job to figure out how to deliver it so
Yeah,
everyone
make
laughs.
them see what you
And,
see.
and just in case
yeah.
the viewers or listeners are confused, this is the only reason I've ever flirted with comedy on a real level is because I got so bored playing shows, committing the inner song rhetoric,
Mhm.
that I would start doing bits to get people
Yeah.
to laugh. And the euphoria to get those 500 or 1,500 people to laugh in unison was almost as great as writing a great song and having them scream back your lyrics to you and fucking like they know the tune and they're there to see you. You know, you all know what I'm talking about.
I for sure do.
So we
yeah.
get to this reunion show, right?
I was a real funny guy in between SMB songs. I've heard.
I know, right? So you and I have a similar. That's why we
and my
bond.
zero. You guys,
Yeah, so we've talked about this on previous episodes. You and I have a similar bond there because
Yeah.
we had similar like aspirations to get into comedy for very similar motives.
Mhm.
So we get to this fucking show. I'm anticipating there being very little people there.
Yeah.
Right? Just because I know how the politics are in our scene and the condition and blah 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 blah. When I say very little is what I basically mean is there's not going to be 1,500 people there, sold out crowd.
Right.
Like we're a big thing anymore. It's a reunion show. We're having fun. We're doing our thing. So I'm like, all right, there's going to be weird, awkward moments in between songs because there's not a huge crowd there to fucking make noise and for me to rev up.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm going to write these bits. I've been thinking about this. I've been doing this. They're all bombing song after song. And basically I improv a joke. It was weird because somebody had to tune or somebody had to switch guitars and
Yeah.
like we hadn't really walked through this logistical thing in
Yeah.
a while. And so I'm like, okay, this is my job as a front man. I got to kill some time. I know just from experience, I got about 30 seconds to a minute. Kill Tony.
Hmm.
It's kill Tony at this point. You got a minute.
Oh, right, because they have a minute to be funny.
You got a
Yeah, yeah,
minute. And I've
Yeah.
already burned all my jokes and they've all bombed. So I got 2 or 3 left.
Yeah.
And I have no confidence in anything I've written. Now we're going old school like it's real again. We're fucking actually doing this again. I just got to just kill time.
Yep.
So I go on some rant about how I'm honored to be on the stage again with such elite level musicians. And everyone, I can just feel the uncomfortableness in the room, and like I can feel the guys behind me stressed out about like I don't remember what I was retuning or switching guitar. Something went wrong, and all of a sudden I'm like, so honored to be on the stage with such great musicians. Terrible people.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
the fucking and the crowd starts chuckling.
That made
heavy.
me laugh right in here. So, yeah,
heavy,
that's good.
all the
Yeah,
way to
that's
the
good.
back of the room, all the way to the back of the room, into the retirement party.
I started laughing on stage.
Well, that
and then
legit
and then
is
I
a
turn,
good
and then
punchline.
I turn and I go, dude, you just shit on these dudes who gave you this honor. So
Yeah,
I
but
immediately turn it.
It's a roast.
And I go, let's just be honest, though. I'm kidding. It's a joke, you guys. I'm the biggest piece of shit in this room. Hell, I'll probably Me Too half this building by the time the night's over. My wife is there. I watch my wife die laughing, not in embarrassment. Dude, all the way to the back of the room, everyone loses it.
I remember that.
whole
Now that you
fucking-
mention it, I remember
the
it.
whole room dies laughing. And it saved the night. All of a sudden, every single person all the way back there in the lit up part that wasn't part of our deal
The retirement party.
turned around and shifted their chairs and watched us for the
And
rest of our
then,
set.
spoiler alert, we fucked every one of them.
Good.
No, but for
And
real
they
though,
were lucky to have
it was
it.
one of those weird moments.
All those
It was
70-year-olds
one of those-
or whatever age you
Oh,
retire.
old people fuck, man.
By the time the headlining band went on and that retirement party ended,
Really
half
anal.
that crowd stuck
Oh.
around to watch the headlining band because we turned that room. And that's why you bring on an opening act, is to warm up the crowd, to turn
Yeah.
the room, to
One of my
get
still
it there for
Yeah.
you.
One
That
of
was
the-
one of my proudest achievements.
shouldn't
That
make
was a
them pay
tough
to be
sell.
there.
That
My-
was a tough situation. How many? I had 2 weeks.
My favorite though was when we needed a singer at the last minute at that skate park or whatever in Rogers,
Ooh, SMB had some great shows there.
We heard.
and
That's
and
why
you-
we took the show.
and
Really?
so-
Okay, yeah, because that shit got.
And so that was the one where it was a all ages show, and we're on stage. And Jared wasn't even he wasn't even in the band. He was trying out on a bass actually, and our singer quit or whatever. Like we needed a singer that day,
Or
and so we're just like, well,
died maybe.
we're like with you. You know, you kind of have an idea of the rhythm of the songs. Would you just like fill in and just make up gibberish? Just it's metal, whatever. You can just you know.
It's all screaming. It's all
And
screaming.
so, like, nobody's gonna give a fuck. And so it was before we played Nuclear Wasted, and you were like, and you said, this next song's, or I don't remember. You were like, if you're straight edge, fuck you.
This next song's called Nuclear Wasted. It's about getting fucked up.
Yeah.
So if you're straight edge, fuck you. Boom. And
it was supposed to be boom, but I couldn't play the intro riff because I was laughing so fucking hard. I was laying on the
Dude,
stage.
Jason fell off his drum throne. Jason fell off his drum throne. Ryan Zimmerman literally fell, like lost all strength in his legs, dropped down to like he couldn't stand up. Jeremy is giggling into the mic. There was 17 people in that room.
It was not a big show.
We
and
were
we
the-
were all super hungover
We were
anyways.
the only ones, dude. And I didn't even realize what I had just said. Like, because I'm hungover too. I was partying with these guys. And dude, they were laughing so fucking hard. I eventually started laughing, and it took us
It took a long
a
fucking
minute or
time.
two
It took like a
to
long time to
compose
regain.
ourselves.
To go. I just remember I was dying, dude. It was like you had the hangover giggles. I mean, that was the same day as
The
McFat.
song's about getting fucked up. It's called Nuclear Wasted. So if you're straight edge, then
fuck you.
fuck you.
That was the same day as the McFat joke, because we were at McDonald's before the show, and I remember I was super hungover, and you know we ate a bunch of food the night before, whatever. We were just sitting there at McDonald's, of course, before a show eating, and I remember I let out like this heavy, and you were like, dude, what's wrong? And I was like, man, I'm gonna feel fucking McFat. It was not even that funny of a joke, but the way it came out, like we just fucking
Because we had been
died.
doing everything is Mick this, Mick that.
Yeah.
Everything was Mick this, Mick that.
Yeah.
And
McFat.
fucking Jeremy and just perfect. I was like, dude, what's wrong, man? You don't look so good. And you're like, I'm good, man. I'm just feeling fucking
McFat.
McFat.
That's
dude, I remember
That's
dropping my McChicken, like it fell on the ground. Like I remember like just my McChicken went straight through next to the table,
He
through
fucking
my legs
dropped it.
on the fucking ground. I remember
you dropped the Mick on him.
I remember Ryan like laughing so hard as he was drinking his chocolate shake that like literally he had chocolate shake in his nose. He had regurgitated that shit because dude, we were dying. It was the epitome of comedy. You didn't in the least moment you expected. This is the line. That's why Tosh can make the it'd be funny if you got raped right now. That's the only reason
was the
that's funny
perfect wrong
is
thing to
because
say.
no one
Yes.
saw it
Yeah.
coming. That's comedy. It's like almost like my buddy Kevin says. It's like a syntax error.
Yes,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
just showing Alexis because I showed her the. I was trying to explain who you were like a week ago because this was coming up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I did. I went and sang this 80s
Yes!
song or whatever, and I'm like, it's on
I
YouTube.
crashed the
There's
stage that
actually
night.
a good video
Yeah.
of that.
Dude,
and
you fucking nailed it too.
my favorite part aside of the whole thing was Vince going like, I learned all of these songs, and then just Wheeler gets to come out at the end and just do a Motley Crue thing, and everyone thinks it's great. And he probably didn't even try. And I'm like, I didn't. Thank you, Vince. And like that was super funny. But I was showing her that, and
You know what?
oh what?
Wait, I
crashed-
really want to hear where this is
Go-
going.
Oh shit! Hang on. I think I
because
might
it's about me.
no, it is about you.
Yeah.
And
That's why I'm interested.
oh right. No, I was looking for it on YouTube, and I was like, I wish this came up a little easier. And then I reminded myself by accident because I was pointing out who everyone was. I'm like, that's Ryan. He was in the first like funny metal guy fail YouTube
Yes.
video ever.
Yes,
when
the
YouTube was
raindrop.
like 6 months
The
old.
raindrop.
He got too drunk to play. The drummer who sold me a fucking under the table revolver once, whoever that was, and he got up and just like shoved him over, whatever. And like he was like super drunk. He like doesn't drink anymore now, and he has short hair. But like that one video dredged up. You guys were just talking about Ryan. I was like, oh fuck. So like she had to sit there with her eyes glassing over while I went over like 10 years of like Minnesota metal history, dude. Like trying to. I was like, yeah, and Jeremy was in Blue Felix. Oh, you were in Blue Felix with him? No, not at the same time. But here's the thing. We shared a practice base with him before that with my other band, but that wasn't Blue Felix, it was SMB before we kicked all those other guys out. And then they're like, how do you know Jared? And I'm like, I actually don't know.
Dude, and you know what's hilarious? You know what's hilarious? I actually crashed the stage that night.
You did. You're in the
Yeah,
video
yeah.
for like
I
half
jumped
a
up at
second.
the
I was
very,
like,
in the very,
there he
very
is.
last chorus.
There he is.
In the very
mean-
last chorus, I just jumped in and
Yeah.
just yelled "Wild Side,"
Which
'Cause
was hilarious.
A bunch of people were in the crowd nudging me. They're like, "Dude, you have to go up there." After all these
Dude,
years,
that was-
now,
Right.
The whole song. People are literally like, "Dude, you need to go up there right now." Like after everything, like this is your moment to put it all to bed. Like, do it. You know they're not gonna fucking freak out. And finally, I looked at my wife and I was like, I have to do this. Like,
And I remember you thought I was going to be pissed, and then I saw you, and I was like, yes!
Yeah, I don't think anyone was mad about anything tonight. And
the best part
buddy
is
of
people that
mine-
didn't know I was ever in that band were just super confused who this random dude was. And it's
well,
like,
it was a party. Yeah.
Yeah.
but Joe had made a name in that band. So
Yeah.
there was a huge group of people who still didn't. There was very few people in that room who knew who I was
They
and
didn't really
knew
know,
why I was
yeah.
on that stage. And the point is like all 35 of them at some point in time during that set were like, you poking me, like you need to walk up on whether it was Vince on
Yeah,
stage,
do something.
even before you had walked up on stage.
Yeah.
People were like, dude, you need to go up there. Like you need to go up there and start singing your shit.
I do want to say, though, right now, I don't know if
felt in
And I
bad tact.
started singing "Smoking in the Boys' Room" because a friend of mine was like, "Hey, if you can shoehorn "Smoking in the Boy Rooms" into it, I'll give you like a fistful of Adderall."
Dude,
I was like, "Oh yeah, all right."
it was fucking like I don't know if I ever got a chance to say this to you actually, but like because we didn't get a chance to jam that song
No.
together, and like so we had no idea what was gonna happen. The only thing I knew, like I knew, I'm like all kind of same thing with me. It's like all kidding and goofiness aside, I knew
Right.
like Wheeler is a professional. He's gonna come up and nail this. And like as soon as you fucking first went into singing, and I was like, you could see it probably in the video. I was like, fuck yeah, this rules. And
I
then-
love that video just from like you and Rain, like everyone just kind of like
Showcase
just
skate
having
park,
fun, for once in music.
Yeah.
Like it was really pleasant
Shout out
experience.
to Joe.
Dude, I was
Make sure
so-
you guys sub.
But then when you did,
Hit
when
that
you
sub
went in,
button.
because like at the end, we extended the
Gotta
ending.
get 1,000.
Yeah,
because the real ending of the song does that weird thing. or
yeah, it
whatever.
does
We're
the
like,
fade out into the sound effects
yeah,
and shit.
And,
Yeah.
and you went right into Smoking in the Boys' Room, and I remember on stage being like, this is a fucking pro. This is how this goes. Like
I was just doing it because someone offered me drugs,
dude, but
That's
it
the
worked.
most Motley Crue thing you could
Yeah,
do.
right. The whole thing, and I was so pumped because like we had, you remember even when you were like Wild Side was like the the DE anthem. It was like
Yeah.
it was like our jam, even to the point where our very first date of going on tour,
Keep going. I got to take a leak.
we got into the van, we started it up. It was on 93X, and fucking Wildside
It's just
was
right
playing.
there. Yeah.
And Rain and I looked at each other and we were just like, "This is fucking kismet." Like we're about to go on, and yeah, it ended up being kismet because that whole year of touring was. It was whatever Motley Crue would have had to have done in 2010.
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
like that version of it, But no, dude, like I was so fucking. As soon as you went into it, I was like, this is so fucking cool. Like I knew Wheeler was the right guy to do this fucking song.
It's such a fun memory of just kind of randomly doing that too, and it's like I can't even for the life of me retrace like why did you ask me to do that other than just that I exist.
I think it was just like we were trying to figure out because like we were doing
I was like, yeah, all right.
the reunion was supposed to be Joe, our singer, was supposed to sing, and then he kind of like stopped talking to us essentially, we were trying to figure it out, and we were doing this and that, and then like so we were like, well, we wanted to do Wildside so bad, and Eric Keys, or Keyes, I always say Keys. Eric Keyes was like, I'm not gonna do fucking Wildside, like he's a screamer. And then Vince, we had already put so much on Vince. It was like, well, we're not, you're like, hey Vince, you're gonna do 3 of the songs that have really hard singing. Let's also have you do Wildside. And so we were just really trying to figure it out. And I for the life of me, I can't remember who said. Somebody, maybe it was me. Somebody was just like, it was like. It might have been me. I was just like, man, I was like, Wheeler's got like that like faster pussycat industrial 80s voice.
Well, you want to know a really funny story, because I don't think we've ever had to have like a good conversation about this afterwards. You saying that makes this funnier, and that I was practicing it, right? I would like turn it on in my fucking Rocket 6s or whatever the fuck and be like, I was singing it like an octave lower, like a singer. I was like, glamorized cocaine. I started singing, and I was like, I realized that didn't work or make any sense. So the whole thing that I did, I had never practiced it like that. I was just like, I guess we're doing the head like a hoe, like that voice. And it was it was
very
probably
impressive,
about
by the way,
because
when you wanted me to cover that, remember at the fill-in, I was like, nah.
Yeah, because we ended up not even doing it.
I was like, I can't pull that off. And you were
it
like,
was this
trying
close
to do
being embarrassing, because I was like, God with his dead friend's wife. I'm like, no, this is terrible. And then it was that. I was like, oh, it's all so loud. I'll just the whole thing.
Dude, it was so perfect live. And when you asked me
it.
to follow that, like 6 months later, and I was like, I can't do. And you were like, try it like Wheeler did. And I was like, I can't, dude. That's not a thing I can do with my voice.
And maybe we could still do this, but like from that moment, we kept talking about we wanted to do a studio version of our version of that, and we wanted we were like, we want Wheeler to sing it.
Oh yeah, I would gladly do
like
that.
It's just fun. Like
now they have a different singer though, so now it'd be awkward. Hey, we're going to do this cover, but you can't be on it.
It's a cover though. It'd just be a funny aside.
I talked
10,000 homo DJs.
I talked to Eric about it, and I mean this was like a couple years ago, but he was like, I don't care, that'd be fucking cool. But at this point, I mean,
is Dying Euphoria still a band?
I was just gonna say, to be honest, like Rain and Tim both live in LA right now, so like Dying Euphoria, Dying Euphoria, like I wouldn't say like Dying Euphoria is like herpes. I mean, it's always gonna flare back up again. Like we're not done, but we're done, So like at the very least, like I want to just record a version of that with you singing
for fun.
It's
a time capsule for like, hey,
because I was just I loved the way it just you could see it in the. I was just like, fuck, dude, I just loved it. I mean, I've loved that song since I was a kid.
That was like 3 or 4 minutes of people just being happy and like being like, hey, this is fun.
Yeah,
like whatever. Like everyone's having a good time.
Kickstart My Heart was it. That's my Motley Crue anthem. Like for me, and that's why like the only thing I have against Wildside is like the lyrics are super demonic, and it's like into it. Like if you read the lyrics, it's like into it, and I'm like, it makes me a little.
That's what made me love it even more, dude. Like especially with Wheeler,
but
it was
Kickstart
like
My Heart has that same spank and that same attitude and that just not give a fuck, and it's just got more of like a just purist rock star vibe.
God, but I mean, even I just remember like. A cop died, like the fucking whole
I'm
thing,
so glad. And I wanted to just earlier. I don't remember what we were talking about, but like, it's probably good that video technology and the internet didn't exist 20 years ago for all of us. But at the same time, it kind of sucks because like, I'm glad that for probably not a whole lot of money, there's this really nice 3-camera YouTube video of that. We can like point at it, but like I realized that like when you guys were probably first doing that, or when some wild shit was happening with SMB and I was like in my underwear with a keytar, it's like, dude, cameras were expensive and nobody had them. So I'm like, yeah, there's like 600 kids there, and I made everybody spit on me and I was naked, and there was like, I can say that, and a few people will be like, oh, I was there, but there's no evidence for good or for ill. And I'm like, but at least we did that fun moment now when it's like, oh yeah, it was like $50, and there's like this beautiful looking thing at the Rock, which is a big stage and lights and all, you know, so it's well maintained.
It was Al Town did it.
Al did that. I went to hire him to do another. He just happened to be out of town and he couldn't do it, but there was a My Zero set too where I was like, because of the job he did on that, I was like, hey, I should probably like hire you to be the multicam dude.
I don't think I even got a chance to say this to you. I'm gonna keep sucking your dick right now, but like
I saw lick it.
I saw it was at Lee's Liquor Lounge. I don't remember who all was playing, but My Zero was one of the bands.
Yeah,
and it was the first time. It was actually the first and only time I saw you guys.
Because we had a few fun shows there. I was just there in the audience. I wasn't even in a band anymore at that time, and I remember like. I was texting the DE guys. I was like, have you ever seen My Zero? I'm like, this is fucking awesome. It was like, dude, like I loved it. We were the best shuffleboard team in the retirement home, is how me and Dave always said. We're like so tired of being in bands, but we're like, hey, we're good at we feel good about what we're putting out there. We're like, dude, it's fun.
Dude, it was awesome. It was great music. It was entertaining. It was like, it was pro. It was like, it was at Lee's. I mean, it was fucking Lee's, and for that,
we had some good shows there. Actually,
for that 30 minutes or whatever, I felt like I was at like a real show or whatever.
I know. Thank you. Because I think, didn't I talk to you too? Because isn't that where you brought up the Wildside thing? Like, didn't we have the conversation at that show or something? Because I swear to God, I was like, hey, I know you. Like that moment of like, you know, people might show up. Who knows what's going on? And then actually being like, oh, hey, someone I know.
Yeah,
like it was a good feeling. Like I swear we had it. Maybe it wasn't about that, but it was just bullshit about something.
I know we bullshitted afterwards. In fact, I probably did suck your dick, and then also tell you that I thought you were really
That's
great.
Where that bump came from.
Yeah. My herpes are way far back in my throat.
Yeah, you really got to ring the bell. Well, I can't really reach, but you were, you just...
I gave her.
Sanders for the win. The best part about DE doing covers is we won't have to hear another awful original.
I will let that slide because I love Sanders so much.
I will let that slide because I was in that band, and clearly he's referring to the songs that I was a part of.
Dude, I remember...
because the shit you wrote with Joe was actually pretty good.
I feel like the shit that I wrote the entire time was pretty fucking good. I just didn't have fucking people that could do what I was trying to.
You weren't writing songs that lended when I joined that band because I was filling Tad's already written parts.
That was a weird time.
I didn't have.
Those
songs were not written for a vocalist. They were written as two guys writing riffs. And Tad had this dancing ability rhythmically to get in there and write some pretty cool shit. So I kept a lot of his rhythms because I wanted to honor as much as I could. But there was parts where it was like he was singing a chorus in a verse.
Yeah.
Or he was singing a verse in a chorus.
That was one of the things I was so pumped about.
Inverted all of that. And like suddenly we had like a fan base.
Well, that was one of the things that I was pumped about was the Faceless Unknown. Because Tad didn't sing the chorus on the chorus, you know, whatever, and then when I first heard the tracks from when you recorded with Ian, the vocals, and I was like, yes, he fucking sang the chorus where I wrote the chorus.
Yeah, like.
But it's really unfortunate, but and maybe you don't remember, but like the stuff that we were writing that we didn't end up getting to record was awesome. Like
it was pretty cool.
Taste the Amber Rose was one.
That one,
the fucking
and we tried to redo that in that reunion show, but it never.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't really.
But what was the one? The fucking. Well, I can't think of it now. You had a fucking sing so softly or speak so softly or whatever, which ended up becoming Truth Trust Ashes. Which, but when it was we lost. I think we lost your voice.
Hey,
Come back.
There we
just
go.
for a second, it'll
Um,
come back. That's the first time that's happened in a while.
But that we were writing some cool because that was that song that remember I wrote. That was when you first were like really complimenting the way I wrote songs because I wrote that entire song without a guitar in my hand.
I remember that.
And then I came to practice and I was like, yeah, I wrote this song today. And you were like, when did you write it? I was like, oh, at work. And you were like, what? And I was like, yeah, I just got to grab my guitar now. And then whatever. But that song was really fucking cool. But then unfortunately, we ended up with a different singer and then it just turned into. But
Overall, though, that band got better with Joe because I think you continued to evolve as a songwriter and write songs
I finally
that lended
had
themselves to a vocalist.
Well, essentially, what I essentially
and that
did,
evolution definitely started when I was in the band.
what I did was I continued to write. Like I was super pumped when you came into the band. I was pumped because like when I started DE, what DE became, that's what I wanted.
From day one.
I didn't want a screaming band. It was just we had a screamer, and it was just like, well, all right, well, this sucks because I'm writing some shit that I really don't want someone to scream over.
Who was singing when? Remember, I did that remix for you guys.
That was Joe.
That was Joe. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, because it had a lot of
The
melodic
dubstep remix of one of the tunes.
It sort of
It was kind of an electro. I fucking love it, dude. I remember like I asked the guy because the DE wasn't really, we weren't a band anymore, but I was like, man, I was like, I really want to do a remix of this.
Yeah.
And and everybody was
I
like,
think Joe hated that, if I remember right.
the remix.
Yeah.
I don't know. I fucking loved it. Dude.
Everyone loved it. I actually thought it was kind of cool.
I fucking loved it, dude.
I could
Like,
probably do it better now. That was like 10 years ago.
I loved it. I thought it was so fucking cool, man. Like, in fact, I put it when I ended up re-releasing our album. On the streaming services, I added it to the re-release because I fucking love it, dude. I think it's fucking awesome. But yeah, I don't know where the fuck I was going with any of this.
Oh no, I was just curious because there was a lot of melodic singing in that. To
Yeah,
like work
and that's
with,
what-
to try to
Yeah,
like
that
build,
was-
and that's what really bummed me out because it
build
was
it
like
around.
That was Joe was technically two singers after
Yeah.
me. So
Okay,
they had
okay.
continued to mature and evolve as songwriters.
right. Yeah.
And that's no slouch to what we were doing when I was in the band, but they wrote like, and we've talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
Like the riffs he was writing back then were metalcore riff jab riffs, and the singer had already written parts that were pure screaming, no singing.
Yeah.
yeah.
So for me to even come in and put in any singing parts was a huge transition.
Yeah, as a songwriter, I wasn't writing. And in fact, I remember the Banehinge guys were, while it was Buried by Hope at that time, they were over at our, because we shared that studio.
Yep, they
or
were
that-
Buried by
whatever,
Hope,
Yeah.
yep.
And I remember we were showing them the stuff. And I remember Jason Hinge, he's like, do you ever play chords? And I was like, no. It's like, no.
Not yet.
I was like, I don't want
Eventually
to.
you
Well,
did.
And like at that time, I was so against it because I was like, everybody plays the fucking, then they go into the chord and this is what we do. And I was just like, no, like I'm just gonna play single note riffs the whole fucking time,
Yep.
and the singer just has to find a way to be creative, which was stupid. Ian helped me. Ian Combs helped me to be like,
I know.
hey man, how about you take all this stuff that you're doing right here and just play a chord, and I was like, I don't want to do that. And he's like, well, try it. And then I tried it and I was like, I really like that. I'm gonna keep doing that now. like that's how that works.
And
But, yeah.
it's easier to make that transition when you have a singer who can actually sing shit
yeah.
that fills in the gaps from your boring guitar riff. And like I can say that I've been very fortunate after being a guitar player and then eventually singing for multiple bands, including yours, and then going back to writing the guitars, that when I wrote this demo, I actually, with intent, went out of my way to busy up some parts and get the fuck out of the way for others.
Yeah.
Like entire verses.
Dude, and as a
entire choruses. It's so hard to show that restraint.
But as a guitar player, as a songwriter, like I wish I had learned that earlier because I wasted a lot of riffs that I could have written other songs around. because it's like
To be fair, though, we also at that point in our careers didn't have the vocalists, including ourselves, to do that.
Well,
Like
you-
now I'm
you
fucking
could've.
with now I'm fucking with Montoya.
I gotta fucking piss again. But
Go
we're-
piss.
Well, he's done in 15 minutes. But
I know,
I
Either
I'm
way, we're gonna
texting.
wrap this up soon. But I'm fucking with Montoya now.
Yeah,
right.
he's
Who's
a
a true pro.
Yeah.
So all these spaces I gave him to breathe, he fills them.
Yep.
The only issue with Montoya is there's spots where I didn't intend vocals, and now like I wrote these like not crazy riffs, but I wrote these parts where it's supposed to be guitar centric
Yeah.
and give the vocals a moment to breathe. Like get out of here and let us do our thing. So when you come back in, it's a little more dramatic.
Yep.
So, but they're still just demos, and it's just communication. Like, hey, maybe switch up here, blah 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 blah. Those little things. It's not an issue or a problem. It's a privilege to work with somebody who, when those moments present themselves as a vocalist, they're actually able to fill that space.
Oh yeah.
So it
he's-
doesn't sound dead. It doesn't sound boring. Where Jeremy suffered from is he wrote a lot of those songs before there was a vocalist. And
Right.
a lot of us do that. So we fill the space because it sounds boring. Not understanding there's going to be, and now once the vocalist joins, now it's too busy
It's
and
a
it's
funny-
obnoxious and no
it's-
one wants to
it's-
listen to it.
It's an interesting thing that you bring up just purely for like learning to be boring because you know there's going to be an important vocal part there is like a rite of passage in
As
becoming
a
an,
songwriter,
yeah, like it's weird how like
it's a maturity
again
level.
some of the stuff that I've been hired to just do for other people, it's like if you listen to it by itself, you just be like, I mean, there's a nice groove here, but there's like nothing going on. I'm like, no, but there's like a real singer involved. Like, wait until like,
Yeah.
Then you hear it and you're like, oh yeah, if I had done anything else,
more.
it would have just crowded it up into a fucking mess. And
That's brilliant.
it's so weird learning I guess all of life is restraint. That like you learn to go like, hang on, maybe don't punch that guy. Hang on, maybe
Well, especially in,
You just-
especially in the hard rock and metal, where you're like you're constantly trying to
everyone's
push
dicks
the
out
envelope
all the time.
Yeah, you're trying to push that envelope of like, let me show you the prowess of what is happening here,
Mm-hmm.
and then dialing that back and showing enough artistic tact. I
Yeah,
guess would be the word.
there's a sense of
to-
taste.
yeah, taste.
Yeah.
class. All these are great words for it. Let me grab one more beer.
Fair enough. I think Alexis is going to leave at 9:20. Hey, right down to. Oh, I'm saying I'm finishing. I brought 6 Bud Lights, and I'm about
This
at the
is the last beer.
end of mine right here as the wife's going to come get me.
Perfect. Man, this couldn't have been timed more perfect. This is, I think, I don't care what the numbers show. Maybe this is the highest. Maybe this is the lowest. Maybe we did great on concurrence. Maybe who knows? I don't care. I think this is probably arguably the best podcast we've done so far. So thank you, guys.
It got real good. I liked it. I liked being able to kind of evade over all these memories and new things. And
I like that it got sillier and funnier as we drank more instead
Oh,
of the
yeah,
other
yeah.
way.
I think the only thing especially with you and I on here, I think people probably expected it to be a lot goofier.
well, that's okay. Like
But yeah.
actually, it does make me think. You should come on Rum Dumpster sometime.
I'm
My
down.
pathetic
Oh,
excuse
thanks for the
a-
invite, John.
You already know that you're going to come and be on it. Also, I have not yet had a conversation with Jeremy about
Just
it.
kidding.
That's what I'm
God,
doing.
guys.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm down. Dude, I'm
Yeah,
fucking
Self-deprecating humor. Come on.
I
guys.
know. But just to be, because that is designed to be a point. There's one mic in the middle of the table.
That mic actually.
There's no- yeah.
that mic we were fucking with.
No one
earlier.
wears headphones. It's just shouting.
John
But
actually
it-
convinced me to buy that microphone, and
Those
then I just
are pretty cool.
I'm using it for a different reason and a different
Well, it's-
application. But he's the inspiration behind him, and I collaborate so much on production.
Yeah.
No one has any
You have
idea
secret
what's
meetings.
going on.
Well, it's funny because like
Secret.
He
so-
helps me so much, and I give him little sneaky tips on shit.
You told me to start using OBS, and I found a way to do that.
We're
And I mean,
bros.
So
yeah,
people like John Wheeler kind of now I'm using your first and last name.
Hey,
Yeah,
that
we're
way
getting-
people will know
Just
who you're
don't
talking
call
about.
him Mr. John, or I swear to God, you're both getting dick punches, and we're
Mr.
ending
John.
this now.
I
Mr. John.
don't. No one's ever called me that, so
No.
that's okay.
But it's like it's funny because it's like sometimes like right now like say it's like we're sitting here we're talking as like colleagues and friends and shit like that. But
Yeah.
then it's like I think back and it's like your band had shirts at Hot Topic.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And like,
we almost kind of got somewhere with the whole music thing,
but it's
didn't
like,
work out.
It's one of those things where it's like another one of like a multitude of things that like I don't know how to put it. Like, I don't want to say pinch myself, but it's like I sometimes
It's kind of weird to sit here as
sometimes you
peers.
step back and realize like how the fuck did I end up peers with so many of these fucking people? Because
I've
like
been going
because
through that
I
all
don't
weekend.
think of myself as like
That's that imposter syndrome.
I've literally been
I
doing.
look forward to the times where I hang out with
Yeah.
you, and when you hear that, you're like, he's lying to make me feel good.
Yeah, yeah,
but I'm not.
it's-
I don't care if you feel good.
Well, when he told me, he's like, because he, I don't remember the exact conversation, but it was something to the effect of like, no, Wheeler really wants you to be on this episode or whatever, and it was, and it's just like one of those things where you're like,
Yeah, like we planned this to get you two together.
Yeah,
here
yeah,
with
yeah.
me.
but it's
on
just,
this
yeah,
format.
it's just a weird thing that I just every once in a while it just hits me where I'm just like,
yeah, well,
how the fuck, you know what I mean? Like,
I
That's
definitely.
the thing I love about this podcast is especially like with the mics and the headphones, it's the great equalizer. Like there is no, even though it's my show, we're all officially, equivocally, measurably on the same level.
yeah. Well, like I even think back to like when we were sharing the space in City
Yeah,
Sound.
and that's like how I got to know you better. I think.
Yeah, and it's like we were
originally.
doing the Weekend Warrior thing that we were calling tours, even though it's Weekend Warrior, and and it was like the kind of this whole thing where it's just like every once in a while you're just like, how, like, you know what I mean? Like, how am I here? How am I with these
I've
people?
literally been doing that for a week and a half with that whole Texas trip. It's like, dude, I have a fucking weird life. I'm a fledgling musician who started a podcast. I fucking have met people across the country and across the world internationally. And I'm going to Texas to scout locations and hang out with actual real
it's
famous
cool. It's like
people. None of this makes any sense. It's official. We're in a simulation because there's no way I could have dreamed this
Well, we're
up.
not set up for great things. Like when you go to public school, you're like, okay, you're gonna try to be a photographer, and then
maybe
you're
you'll
gonna
be a
knock
great
some
plumber.
bitch up, and then now you have to get serious and get a job, and then you'll die. Whatever, but then when we transcend that, we're like, oh hey, this is magical. It's like, well, this probably should have happened.
I hope like we never lose that, like
that appreciation.
Like every once in a while, I also think back
gratitude.
to like like we used to share a space with After the Burial when they were recording In Dreams.
I remember that because didn't David Murder's other band Debbie Does Malice share that with you guys too, or some
one
weird...
of the greatest band names of all time.
This
that
was
a
in
good band name.
Someone who was on this podcast was in Debbie Does Malice, by the way.
I forget. They had some.
I was drunk when we had that conversation, so I can't remember who it was. I apologize if you guys know or remember. But they were on this. Somebody who was in Debbie Does Malice was on this podcast.
Yeah, and that was how David was in that
chair,
and then he was in S.
That's how small of a world we're in.
Yeah.
And someday Singletary's going to be in that chair.
It's just wild. I don't know. It's just cool, dude. I like that's one of the things. Like as you get older and like life beats you down and ruins you. Like I'm glad that like to not lose those moments.
And the only reason you have those moments though are because you chased a dream.
Yes. Yeah.
You got out of that comfort zone. You used to inspire me when I was down in the dumps, and you go, dude, do you realize just having the balls to try to do this is more than like think about it, Jared.
It puts
when
you
we
on
go
another
at the
level,
bar, when we're on tour and we're sitting there at the bar in some podunk town and we only played to 150 people, other people, do you remember the dream that we'd see in their eyes? Wait, you guys are like touring musicians.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, I wish I could have. Man, and we would get drinks bought for us. Women would throw themselves at us because just that freedom of having a choice to go try.
Yeah, that
was
really screwed
so
up my outlook
fucking-
on life. I was like, hey, I don't have to try.
But now looking back, there's zero what ifs.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I had this conversation with my mom today, and this is gonna be brief. This is gonna be brief.
I love that opening.
Bring up your mom.
I was talking to my mom about
great
how I
way
was
to end
fucking
the
bitches
podcast.
on the
Let's
road.
bring up your fucking mother.
It'll be well. You've met
Brilliant.
my mom, right? I mean,
I don't think I have.
Oh, really?
I
If
met-
you want to know where I
met
come
Mama
from?
Zim.
You didn't come from nowhere.
I've
Yeah.
met Mama Zim.
Oh no, dude, my mom is
That's Ryan Zimmerman's mother. And dude,
Oh, I
Ryan
know
Zim-
him.
Dude,
Mama
Rain-
De. Yeah.
Rain's parents are amazing.
Oh yeah, dude. We used to have those fucking. We had beer
let's
fights.
not get started.
Anyways,
We'll go on for another
I know.
hour. Finish
but no,
your point.
I was talking to my mom today.
But I haven't met your mom.
I was talking to my mom today, and we were kind of talking about life and whatever. And I just said, I look
outside
at
yet?
I look at
I saw the backyard camera go off, so she's just left.
I look at I look at my marriage that of course obviously ended, and then the band thing or whatever. But I look at it as like,
Notice how he didn't say failed.
Yeah, well, obviously, they came to a close as marriages do.
it just came to a
closure.
Naturally.
But it's like as I've been like as I've been traversing through these drastic life changes over the last couple of years, I've shifted my mindset, and now I look at it as like, okay, like my music career came to an end. That sucks. I was married to my best friend. That came to an end. That sucks. But I also was married to my best friend. I also was a touring musician.
Better
There
to
you go.
have loved and lost than never loved at all.
As cheesy as it sounds, I'm
That's
just like,
true,
you know
though.
what? At least
There's
I
a lot of people who
I
haven't
have-
gotten married. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
who've never been
Not
in a
only
there
that-
are many who have never loved at all.
There's a
and
lot-
not only that, but then like for me, it was like, I mean, you saw my relationship with my ex-wife. I was like, that was
from afar.
yeah, but like,
I got a very
Really, you
social
were never
media-
in the middle of a threesome with them because we did
I
that.
got a
yeah,
very-
we were in like,
I got a very social media picturesque version of your marriage.
that was it. To be honest, like we really were. I mean, I'm not going to go into details of what happened, but we were like. There's people who get married, but they're not married to their best friend. There's people who, you know what I mean? They're in
Yes.
relationships.
They
like,
just do it.
they just like, there was a reason, like people were like, oh, like you don't go and do these things anymore. I didn't go and do those things anymore because I had a better time hanging out with my wife. You know what I mean? Like I had that, and then like the music thing is like, I got to experience all those things. So instead of looking at those as losses, I look at them now as like, I'm thankful that I was able to
That's
experience
part of the
those things.
tapestry of your
Yeah.
life is who you are now.
Yeah,
The
like,
fabric of
Either way, I was going to end up being 39 years old. What would I, but I could have been that without those experiences.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Actually, we might have heard this even in the same, but that whole like, you're gonna be 40 either way. So whenever you go, well, I'm 35, is there time to start? Like, well, if you don't do it, you'll be 40 and haven't done it.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you do and it doesn't work, you're still gonna be 40. Like, you have to. That is really motivating. That thing that you
Yeah.
just said, where it's like, yeah, just give it a try. If it all fucks up, you're dead at fucking 80 if you're lucky.
Time-
Anyway,
regrets.
so
No
just do it.
Time
the thing
move-
that's going to eat at you is the regret of
Yeah,
not
what
taking
you
the shot.
didn't
Well,
do will
and-
bother you more.
And no matter what,
100%,
whatever you're
bro.
talking
Yeah.
about, whether it's weight loss, whatever it is, like time continues to move forward regardless of what you do
or don't
Yup.
do.
or don't do.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
what are you going to do with
Or
that
do
time?
do.
And I don't mean that in like I don't mean that in some like annoying overachiever way. I
Right.
just mean like,
Yeah.
hey, these days are gonna keep coming and going, like
yeah, what are you going to fill them with?
Yep. And
Yeah, it's
and the reason sometimes
it's just a simple one foot in step
yeah.
in front of the other step by step mentality.
sometimes I
just
use-
I've
like,
rationalized all the horrible things I've done that exact same way.
Well, and sometimes like a lot of times I like to use the weight loss analogy because it
well,
does
you're
kind
a
of
fitness guy. That
well
makes
that
sense.
too, but it kind of works because it's like
you
okay,
also look great. By the way.
thank you.
Yeah, you are. A
So if
handsome
you're-
devil,
So if you're, I can't wait for our threesome that we have after this. That's why we have a hard
That's
stop.
why we keep
I know,
checking
we're
our
just like,
phones.
oh my wife
That's why we
is
keep
picking
But
checking
it
like,
the
up.
time.
if you're
And by that I mean it's time to.
if you're
fuck.
like not happy with where you're at physically or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
no matter what, a year from now it's going to come. It's going to happen. A year from now, you can be standing there looking at yourself and being like, fuck yeah, I'm really glad that a year ago I started doing this.
yeah,
Or you can look at yourself and be like, fuck, man, I really wish a year ago I would have started doing this.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
That's
that
exactly how I feel
Yeah.
about this podcast. Like
Yeah,
I
you
literally
better do
started this 3 years ago, took 2 years off, restarted, and I go, why? I wish I would have just kept going.
Yeah.
I'd be so much farther by now.
Yeah,
It's just silly at that point, man.
you're content. No matter what, you're moving forward, man. What are you going to do with that?
So where can people follow you, Jeremy, online? You do have an Instagram.
Yeah, I finally got on Instagram. I feel like old boomer because I don't even know how to use it. But basically, just look up Jeremy Blake. I also have a YouTube now where I'm starting to do my music stuff. I'm going to keep doing the things that I'm doing with music. So just essentially just look up Jeremy Blake.
Send me the
I
links.
will.
I'll put them in the description. So if you guys are watching this on playback within the next 48, or if you're listening on audio, hopefully by the time it's uploaded, all those links are in there. John, plug your shit one more time.
The Alchemical Cocktail Lounge on YouTube contains many silly things that I do. And if I ever do music ever again that's my own, it'll probably be on there too.
Which you should, because you're fucking talented as hell.
I think you should stop. But yeah.
No, you're extremely talented, man.
But if
One of the
if
better
I-
songwriters in this town.
Yes, yes. Wholeheartedly agree. And
Like
that's coming
it-
from me, who people have said nice things about my songwriting.
And
I
me,
say nice things about your songwriting.
and me,
well, you're
you're
awesome.
and me, who only gets 2 compliments in this town. One of the greater performers, and I'm a very good songwriter. So for the both of us to tell you that that's
Well,
legitimate, because I don't
Best
boast,
frontman,
I don't blow. I've heard that.
second best.
Don't
I'll give you a
don't-
third compliment. Hey,
don't
I think I've heard of
conflate
that guy.
Don't conflate that when he says best frontman. Don't conflate with that with good singer. There's very different things.
I love your voice, but I love
That's
that.
fine.
I like that
It's
raw
right in your
gravelly.
name.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But John's also a featured channel at the bottom of the page. So just if you're confused, you couldn't spell it, you didn't hear it quickly, go to the bottom of my main
Scroll
YouTube
on
page.
down.
Alchemical Cocktail Lounge is a featured channel. Go there, subscribe. We're all on this grind to 1,000. Thank you guys for your love and support. We are out. I'm going to mute the mics and we're going to hit the outro. Love you guys. Please subscribe.